We're all waiting for you.
That's right. Wait away.
See how it feels?
Used to it. I'm the captain.
Happy Friday, everybody.
Snowy surprise. The crash of Air Canada Flight 646.
Well, that would be, look, it's a snowy day in Atlanta. Snowy surprise. Hi, Tanya.
It is.
Which crash was that? 646. Where was that?
Well, there are so many Canadian crashes. It's
There
hard
are.
to pick it out.
We do that quite well, I think. It's one of our...
And they're really not used to flying in snow.
No.
No, exactly. That's half the problem.
Yeah.
Oh, I think Jilly's home.
I think she's arrived, yeah.
Hi, Micah.
I could go
Crashed
be the
after
reporter
a
in the field
failed
and
go-around
see what it's like to fly in the snow.
In Fredericton. Okay. I wouldn't have known that, I don't think. What year was that?
It's 97.
Oh, well, I should know that, but clearly I don't.
Let's see how many people... No fatalities. I can make a joke about that then.
Yeah, and it's just Canadians
that never
anyway.
stopped us.
Yeah,
never stopped us
exactly.
from joking around.
It's true. It was a Bombardier, so it's even funnier.
Yeah, double Canadian reference.
Yeah.
Okay, we have hello everybody, Tim Van Ram and Ken Hayes, Mike Kuipers, Masha, and Tanya, John Harris 54. Is John Harris 54 new? I don't recall.
I don't recall John before.
Live
But
audience.
welcome. Oh, there's iHall
Amen.
boxes. Woohoo!
iHall boxes.
iHall boxes hauled is into
Hi,
the chat
Masha.
room.
And good afternoon, Mr. Harris.
Nice to see you. Yes,
I wonder if he's
Steffi's.
the chap that makes the tweed.
Yeah,
Harris
from the
Tweed.
from the island of Harris, from the Isle of Harris. New to watching.
Oh, he's
live.
got his own island. Oh, now that's
Isn't
nice.
Harris one of the Hebrides? Isn't that why they call it Harris Tweed? Harris and Lewis and
Is it one of the new Hebrides or the old ones?
old ones
Oh, God knows.
in the old country there. You lived in Scotland, for goodness sake. Don't you know this stuff?
Nope. I was famous in the Kingdom of Fife. No,
Yes, you're on the
that's
east
a long way
coast.
from the Hebrides.
In the civilized part of Scotland, if there is
Yeah,
such a thing.
yeah.
Oops, sorry, Scotland.
Oh, dear.
I'm offended.
Paul.
An airline pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
So Steffi is, I think she's maybe traveling. I'm not sure. She's busy. Camacho's traveling, so he's busy. And
They
Rick,
both have better
who
things
knows?
to do. Yeah, who?
Yeah, Rick, who?
Shall I see if our MC is his mic levels are good?
That would be good.
Radio
thing.
Roger, go ahead and give us a test here. Whoa.
He's singing nowadays.
Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy, episode 646.
Sounds good.
Okay.
It's a little. It might be a little high actually, but it's okay.
He's a little high.
He's a little high, yeah.
Okay.
Hey,
well,
what you do in your own time?
I know. All right, let me see if I can adjust that a little bit.
What am I looking for?
And I'm gonna drop it down to 93.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
Yeah,
better?
that sounds good. I think he liked the 340 better than the 330 iHall boxes. I'll answer on Nick's behalf.
Oh, I'm still trying to read about Flight 646.
Didn't you like the 340 better than the 330, Nick?
Oh, yes, indeed. I did. Particularly the 600.
Because it's 10 more.
Yeah, indeed. Yes.
That great video that Jan Sears took of you from the air, that was in a 340, a 600, yeah? Taking off.
Indeed it was. Yes.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. That was just like a big
it was
swan.
very kind
It's like
of
a
him,
big
wasn't it?
swan taking off.
I think Ken Hayes might have something for Roger.
Oh, Ken, shall we connect you guys?
Ken Hayes. I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure we had the flight safety director in the Royal Air Force was called Wing Commander Spry. That was his generic name in all the magazines, and I'm pretty sure Ken Hayes was once Wing Commander Spry. So I don't think it's the same. I doubt it, but you
No,
never
Ken.
know.
I think Ken is from the U.S. of A. I believe.
Oh right, okay. Well, perhaps he retired there. You never know.
Now, Jeff, I don't want you to fall off your chair, but here what's what Mike is saying.
I saw that.
Oh boy, thank you, Mike.
I know. Like, that means there's going to be a major crash. And it's
Yeah.
all Micah's fault for saying
Yeah,
that.
and
Don't touch
Crash?
anything.
We shouldn't use that word on the show.
Yeah, well, we do.
All right,
Because
let's
that's
get
all we
going.
talk about.
Do we talk about anything else?
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Have you got your countdown at the ready?
Not yet. Hang on.
No.
But I do have the recorder going. You didn't
Oh.
ask me that.
Well, Tim hasn't reminded me yet.
Okay.
Oh, there he goes. He just did. Thank you, Tim.
Okay. Yeah, recorders are recording.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a backup to the backup.
Well, good.
And let's see.
We like
go
redundancy.
to over here
Hi,
to
Ben Singer.
media assets. And no farting, please. That's the rule here.
Who put that up?
Me.
Oh, okay. You're allowed.
I did.
Okay.
All right. Shall we let this thing rip?
Let's speaking of no farting, yeah, let's let it rip.
Let her rip.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy episode 646.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy show, the view from our side of the cockpit door, with your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from the APG Road Vessel Studio. Today's show is recorded on the week of January 6, 2025.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Put your light and he's flying by. With the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, a final report on how a baggage handler got sucked into an airliner engine. And a controller yells at pilots nearly crossing a runway.
Keyline, stop, stop, stop.
Also ahead, more news, your feedback, and today's plane tale. So get all settled in. Tray tables and seat backs in the upright and locked positions. Electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 646 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger Stern. He is an award-winning TV and radio reporter, currently at the #1 all-news station in the nation. 1010 wins on 92.3 FM in
New York City.
Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news and answering your great feedback. I'm Captain Jeff, former U.S. Air Force pilot and retired Delta Airlines captain. And joining me from his studio,
In Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
very serious dog photographer, former RAF, RAAF fighter pilot, retired Airbus A330, A340 captain for Virgin Atlantic Airways. It's Captain Nick.
Hello, Jeff. Lovely to be back on the show. And today's episode 646. You know, there was a flight 646, of course, typically Air Canada, a bombardier that tried to land at Fredericton. But he and the first officer both decided, as they kind of lost sight of the runway, it was all snowy and horrible, at about 80 feet to go around. Sadly, the first officer stalled the airplane in the go-around. and they dinged the fuselage and a wing and broken undercarriage wheel as they hit the ground. At that point, the engines, which had been selected at a full power, wound up, and the thing launched itself across the airfield. It banged into, I think it was a ditch, got airborne for about 1,000 feet before eventually ploughing into a huge snowdrift. Amazingly, after all these, after all this excitement, nobody died. Wasn't that good?
All's
Wow,
well that ends well.
That is, so, you know, they did the right thing by going around, but it
Almost.
doesn't sound like they executed it very well.
No, not really. No.
IHOL Boxes says something here, Jeff.
That sounds like his average touchdown. Whoa. Remind me never to fly with IHOL boxes.
Well, you'd have to be a box, so
Yeah, you'd have to put a stamp on your forehead. And
you have to be in a box.
There's so many things I could say, but I'm going to
I know.
refrain.
Yeah,
And
don't.
I'm going to move on. And thank you for the information about Flight 646, Captain Nick. That was fascinating, as always.
Thank you.
So we also have, for a second week in a row, from the North Woods of the Atlanta suburbs, not the forests. Come on. Race car driver, high performance, high altitude tail dragging, complex endorsed commercial, ding 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 ding, instrument rated pilot with an affinity for self-taught haute cuisine and anything with enough horsepower to kill him. It's AJ Schramm. Oh,
Hey, Jeff. Hey, Nick.
or
glad to be
Alpha
back on
Juliet,
this.
as you'd prefer. Yeah. Go ahead.
Good to see you guys. Really glad to be back. And yeah, make sure you mark me down for 2 in a row. I think that's a first.
Got it.
Mark him down.
Yeah, you get extra money for 2 in a row.
Now you can't be on it for 10.
Yeah, now I'm out for 2 months.
Somebody tell the band to stop. Come on.
Oh, they can't
Okay,
hear
that's
you.
enough.
They're playing so loud.
Okay. There we go. Woo, man. That was loud for you all as well, huh?
Pretty
Sorry.
loud.
Okay, we need to turn that down a little bit. Anyway, and all the people that are around me here have all the windows open, with, the screen, and I'm yelling all kinds of crap, and they're going, "This guy, I think, is kind of nuts,"
Yeah.
which is probably normal for this.
They're all pulling out.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue with our intros and talk about this young lady from her studio in Toronto, Ontario. Retired financier and aviation enthusiast, spreadsheet master, and our producer. It's Liz Piper.
Hello from a non-snowy Toronto. I've got that as an advantage over certain people at the moment.
Yeah, I think we're going to hear all about this.
Yeah.
Not quite a snowpocalypse in Atlanta, but they're getting a little winter
Flurries.
weather there.
And you're not
Flurries
there.
constitute a snowpocalypse.
And I'm not there for sure. That's why I'm down here where I am, and I'll tell you all about that in our Getting to Know Us segment.
Have a good show, you guys.
Thanks, Liz.
Cheers, Liz.
And we're going to go ahead and start off with, since it is an aviation podcast, with some aviation news. I know, it's really loud. What the heck is going on here?
Stand by for news.
I see the problem. I got the volume for my sound playing app to 176%. That'll do it. Okay, let's do another one.
Stand by for news.
All right, let's start with this from the New York Times and another publication as well. I just can't remember what the other one is yet. A routine post-flight inspection revealed 2 bodies. Let's see. Let me read the headline. 2 bodies found in JetBlue plane's landing gear at Fort Lauderdale Airport. Again, this one is from the New York Times. A routine post-flight inspection revealed 2 bodies in the landing gear compartment. I just read that. Let's see. 2 bodies were discovered. How many times do we have to tell you? How many bodies? I'm a little
22
confused.
so far.
Did they say? Okay. Yeah, we're up to 6 now. Okay. JetBlue flight 1801 departed Kennedy Airport. I was going to say Kentucky Airport. Kennedy Airport in New York at 7:49 p.m. Monday night and landed in Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport at 11:10 p.m., according to flight tracker data. The bodies were discovered during a routine post-flight maintenance assessment of the plane, the airline said. Paramedics pronounced the two people dead at the scene. I pronounce you dead! According to the Broward, I shouldn't be so flippant, should I? This is a loss of life. According to the Broward County Sheriff's Office, it was unclear how long the people had been in the landing gear compartment. And so they talk a little bit about landing gear apartments and, you know, what they are. That's what I'm going to do. Good suggestion, Liz. So the next article kind of gives us a little bit of clarity here. Because at first, I don't know about you all, but when I was looking at this thing, why would somebody stow away from New York to Lauderdale? I mean, there are people that want to escape New York City, but I mean, I can think of better ways than stowing away. And well, okay, I guess it's more understandable now. Thank you for clearing that up, Liz. So this one from the independent.co.uk. The bodies of the stowaways who rode to Florida in a JetBlue airplane's landing gear compartment were reportedly decomposed when they were found by airport staff. And I'm thinking, decomposed? I mean, if they're in a really super cold environment, I mean, they would be preserved, wouldn't they? But let's read a little bit more. A gate technician in the landing gear area noticed two males who appear to be Signal 7 advised they are not moving in the landing gear area, and this is a police radio code to describe a dead body. So the flight departed Jamaica earlier in the day. So that was the first flight of this jet on that Monday early morning. Went from Jamaica to Kennedy, where the temperature in New York was below 30 degrees, but that, really is kind of inconsequential because the temperature up at altitude in the landing gear compartment that's not heated or pressurized, it would have been much, much colder than that. Almost as cold as Atlanta. Not quite. Yeah. The plane then flew from New York to Salt Lake City, Utah, and then came back from Salt Lake City to Kennedy in New York, and then that night flew its final leg to Fort Lauderdale. So now that makes a little bit more sense. The Transportation Security Administration is investigating the deaths with the help of local law enforcement and the FAA. It's a heartbreaking situation, JetBlue said. They're working closely with the authorities to understand how this occurred. I know how it occurred. A couple Jamaican people went on the ramp and got inside the landing gear compartment. And I guess they were desperate to leave Jamaica. I don't think they maybe quite understood what they were getting themselves into. So you want to say anything about, we talk about these kind of incidents quite often on the show, and sometimes it's hard for us to understand the circumstance that would cause somebody to think that that was better than living where they are, and there's a chance for a better life.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning that it's very unlikely you're going to survive a flight in the landing gear. It's not a pressurized area, so you're going to be suffering from decompression sickness. You're going to be subject to the very low temperatures that occur at cruise altitude, often minus 50, sometimes up to minus 70 degrees centigrade. That with the low air pressure is going to lead you to possibly die from hypoxia. So it's a pretty awful environment to be in. So you've got to be desperate. So the more we get the word out that you're very unlikely to survive an attempt to stow away in one of these bays, perhaps the more lives we'll save. One area I'm a little bit disappointed is that the landing bays, gear bays, aren't inspected on every turnaround. So the fact that this aircraft was turned around and sent off on another flight, and it was a while later that the bodies were detected, is a bit sad. I mean, when I did my walk around, I'm not trying to say I was the perfect pilot. I certainly wasn't. But in countries where I suspected this sort of thing might happen, I used to put it's a long way up to get to the landing gear bay on a 340. I used to put my arm up, I'm a pretty tall bloke, so I could get my phone into the landing gear and then I'd take a picture and then come back and look at it and see if there was anyone skulking around inside the landing gear bay. A lot easier on the 320. You might even be able to poke your head up there without too much difficulty. I never did find anyone up there, which was very nice. The other thing was, I thought that if there was someone up there and I held my phone up, they might just steal it, and in which case I'd realise that there was somebody in there.
Yeah, that would have been a good clue.
Still a result.
So anyway, I'm just saying, if it's your job to do a turnaround or you're going to do a walk round, just have a think about just checking out the landing gear bay, because if someone has managed to survive the flight and they're in a very bad way, still up in the undercarriage bay, you've got a chance of saving their lives. You may not want to, which is a pretty sad indictment of anybody, but I think it's worthwhile taking a check just to see.
Good point. All right. At the end of this article, it mentions that according to an FAA report from 2011, approximately 80% of stowaways who try to hide in wheel bays or other external jet compartments die. So that's actually
It's not as high as I thought it would be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty amazing. All right.
So 1 in 5 chance you'll survive. Okay. Still not worth taking the risk. Sorry.
Bring 4 friends with you, and you're good.
I just hope that you're the 20% that makes it. Good point,
Nice one,
though.
AJ.
I like that. I like the way you're thinking there. Yeah, he is an optimist for sure. All right. Let's move on then to this next one. It's an update on that Swiss International Airlines Bombardier C-Series CS300 that was flying from Bucharest, Romania to Zurich, Switzerland. They were en route at flight level 400, and then the engine kind of came apart, and then a bunch of smoke entered into the passenger cabin, and we were kind of talking, I think it was the last episode, right, that we were talking about that, and we were kind of going like, I'm not really understanding. What was that?
Someone's just hitched up your vehicle to a tow truck and they're about to drag you away.
Did you pay your parking fees?
Yeah, luckily he's not hitching up my, well, I don't have any way of anybody hitching up my motor coach.
They have ways.
Well, yeah, okay, but this is a pickup truck with some kind of a trailer behind it, maybe a boat trailer or something. I'll explain later where I am and why there might be somebody in a pickup truck attaching a boat trailer, because I have boats that are in the water behind me.
In use.
Yes, but so I do apologize for the ambiance here. Anyway, so we were kind of scratching our heads trying to figure out, like, how did this cabin attendant get into significant medical or physiological trouble and then eventually die. And so now we have a little bit more clarity. They talked about on the 5th of January, which is 5 days ago, the Austrian state's attorney reported that an autopsy revealed the flight attendant had died because of serious brain damage, edema and hypoxic brain damage caused by lack of oxygen supply. The flight attendant had an extremely enlarged heart, and there are indications he suffered from septic bronchitis. So I guess those were probably pre-existing conditions, I'm guessing. It doesn't say that.
I'm guessing, but it doesn't sound like he was very well in the first place.
No. Whether this is connected to the cause of death is part of further investigation. The role of protective breathing equipment, PBEs, is also the subject of investigation. Also on the 5th of January, the Swiss Federal Prosecution Office said they're investigating as well and are in contact with the Austrian Prosecution Office in Graz. The crew member had worn a protective breathing equipment, PBE, which, according to findings by the airline in 2023, war error prone. The airline began exchanging.
Was
Oh, I was thinking. I looked at that one. Huh? I don't understand what that means. Okay, the PBEs were error prone. The airline began exchanging the PBEs, however, had not yet completed the exchange. Okay, so it sounds like perhaps a faulty personal breathing equipment device contributed to the lack of oxygen to this cabin attendant. That's what I'm gathering from this. Again, this is in the early stages of the investigation, but it sounds like that's what took this guy out. So, what else to say about that right now? Okay, we'll wait for a further report. Yeah, well, are you being sarcastic, Liz? Okay, because I'm thinking either that or I'm looking at the wrong report. Okay, next item is the final report of the incident that occurred in Montgomery, Alabama on the 31st of December a couple of years ago, 2022, where the ground worker got sucked into the number one left engine of an Embraer 175. It was Envoy operating on behalf of American Airlines. So the I don't know if we need to go into all the details here, but the aircraft was coming in to park, and what they were leaving. They were doing the 2-minute engine cool down period. I think they elected to leave both engines running, and then as the airplane approached the gate, 3 ramp agents were present but clear of the safety area. After stopping the aircraft, setting the parking brake, the captain gave the hand signal to connect the airplane to ground power. As he was shutting down the right engine, the door cargo forward open engine indicating and crew alerting system message appeared, indicating that the forward cargo door had opened. The first officer opened his cockpit window to inform the ramp agent that the engines were still operating. But anyway, so the one of these agents was on the left side, walked in front of the left engine while it was still operating, and was killed instantly. So the NTSB released their final report on the 20th of December, and let's see, it says the ramp agent's cognitive impairment, which resulted in her inconsistent behavior with trained procedures and pre-landing briefings, the presence on the left side of the airplane while the left engine was still operating, and subsequent ingestion into the engine. And so they go into the entire investigation process, looking at standard operating procedures and required briefings and that sort of thing. And all that had apparently been accomplished. They do talk about the accident ramp agent having relapsing, remitting multiple sclerosis, which can adversely affect cognition, including executive functioning, information processing, and working memory. Although no cognitive impairment was documented at the ramp agent's most recent neurology visits, she had a substantial risk of such impairment because of her condition. They also mentioned that she had diabetes, and there was also a toxicology test, and they detected delta 9 THC and its metabolites. Metabolites? That's it. Metabolites. That sounds better. Indicating that she had used a cannabis product. Smoking weed, I think. Cannabis has the potential to cause cognitive and psychomotor impairment and can worsen cognitive impairment in individuals with multiple sclerosis. So they're thinking that all these things may have combined to alter her cognitive processes, and her judgment was deficient, and she walked in front of an operating jet engine, and which it was a terrible tragedy. It wasn't. I don't think they said anything about this in the report that, that some people had suggested or surmised that she did it on purpose, to commit suicide or whatever. But it doesn't seem that was a factor. That she just had impaired judgment and walked where she shouldn't have. Yeah, no situational awareness. Very, very sad. But that basically is now putting the cap on this terrible occurrence, and that's the final report, and may she rest in peace.
Yep.
All right. Continuing on with this from Paddle Your Own Canoe. Well, you know what that deserves? That deserves a... We love our Paddle Your Own Canoe articles. Let's see. A flight attendant seriously injured after falling from an open door of a Boeing 737 when the air stairs were removed. She had to be rushed to a hospital on Monday afternoon when she fell from the open door of the 737 as they were preparing for departure at East Midlands Airport in England. Let's see. Witnesses who were aboard the plane said that everyone had boarded and all the doors had been closed in preparation for departure when the flight attendant had to reopen one of the main boarding doors. It doesn't explain why she had to. The young woman expected the mobile's air stairs to be attached to that side of the plane and went to step out onto the platform. By this point, however, the air stairs had been driven away, and the flight attendant plunged to the tarmac below. Flight attendant's injuries were so serious that the local ambulance service dispatched an air ambulance to the scene. Air Accidents Investigation Branch has confirmed that it has launched an investigation after sending investigators to the scene to interview the other crew involved in the incident. Yeah, that's sad. Now, we kind of discussed this before recording the show and said it. We've heard of instances like, for instance, the Finnair flight attendant in 2020 who was seriously injured after he fell through the open door of an Airbus A320, which is much higher above the ground. It sits up much higher off the ground than a 737 does. But the 737 is high enough that walking out of an open door and falling onto the tarmac below can definitely cause serious harm.
Oh, absolutely. Even more so if you're on a wide body where the aircraft is substantially larger and the fall distance substantially further. It's such a shame, and I suspect the Air Investigation Branch will try and determine if the training was adequate, because that's what this really comes down to. We all know that the airport is a terribly dangerous place to be. It's a nightmare, really. But and the way we operate, doing things nice and snappily to make sure we make our on-time departures, etc., sometimes exacerbates the problems. But certainly there are very firm procedures about how to open a door and how to check it's safe outside. But if you've just closed the door and the stairs were there and you've decided you need to open it again, I suspect in her mind she imagined the stairs were still going to be there but didn't check properly. So that's very sad.
But this one, she survived, correct? That's
Yeah.
what we read?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
we can make
As
it
far
at least
as
a
we
small
know,
joke.
she's...
Watch that first step. It's a
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, say it again, AJ.
Watch that first step. It's a doozy.
It is a doozy, for sure.
Indeed.
Yeah, good one. Possible show title. I don't know. Write it down, somebody. All right. Let's see. Anything else before we move on? We're knocking these things out really quickly, which is
a
good.
little bit surprised
Yeah.
that it was that serious, because just brief research, the floor, the bottom of the door is only about a little over 6 feet off the ground on most of the 737s for the passenger door.
Yeah.
So
I guess
it
if you
depends
pitch
on how she
forward and bang
tumbled
your
out.
head, though,
yeah, it's
That
all
might
about the
be,
angle, but
yeah.
Yeah, if she stepped out thinking there was a platform there and then just kind of did a half somersault or something and landed on her noggin, it could definitely be a
too.
doozy. Yeah. All right. This from next one from cbc.ca, and we also have a YouTube video from let's see, Vass Aviation, I believe. So if you'll add that to our stage, Liz, please, and I will attempt to play this video again from Vass Aviation. I don't.
Delta 471, Los Angeles Tower, good afternoon. Wait for one off the other side. Traffic will cross downfield, runway 24 left, line up and wait.
24 left, line up and wait, Delta 471.
Southwest 4110, traffic will hold in position. Cross over 24 left, contact ground point 65.
Cross 24 left, contact ground, Southwest 4110, yes.
Gulf Stream 709 Delta Sierra, turn left to taxiway Victor, keep it rolling. Cross runway 24 left, there is traffic in position. Where do you park?
Delta 753, ILS 24 right.
Delta 753, Los Angeles Tower, good afternoon. Wind 130 at 6, runway 24 right, clear to land.
Code land 24 right, Delta 753.
Delta 471, wind 130 at 6, RNAV Delray, runway 24 left, clear for takeoff.
RNAV Delray 24 left, clear for takeoff, Delta 471.
We're seeing some video of the business jet landing on the outer runway, and the Delta jet beginning their takeoff roll from 24 left.
Key line 563, turn left when able and hold short, runway 24 left.
Kind of weak radio. Showing the 320 rolling.
1346, Los Angeles Tower, good afternoon. Wind 120 at 6. Key line, stop, stop, stop.
Stops abruptly.
Southwest 1346, traffic will cross downfield, runway 24 left, line up and wait.
Line up and wait, 24 left, Southwest 1346.
Key line 563, traffic will hold in position. Now cross runway 24 left, contact ground on 121.65.
24 left and at point 65. 560 feet.
Key line.
Touch your flight 1178, switch you ILS 24 right.
Frontier 1178, LA Tower, good afternoon. Wind 120 at 5, runway 24 right, clear to land.
24 right, clear to land, Frontier 1178.
Delta 471, contact SoCal departure. We'll see y'all.
Departure, Delta 471.
Key line 563, LA ground taxi via Echo Papa, hold short of Charlie.
Ground key line 563 on the Vector 2 Park Signature.
Key line 563, LA ground, turn left on Echo taxi via Echo Papa, hold short of Charlie. Key line 563, possible positive deviation, I have a number for you, advise ready to copy.
Uh-oh.
Key line 563, phone number area code 310-337. Key line 563, thank you, contact ground point 75.
75 key line 563.
They're showing the replay, and I called it a business jet, but it's actually, I guess, a commuter airline. Key Lime? I've never heard of Key Lime.
I don't know. If they're going to Signature, it might be something private.
Maybe a charter outfit or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that is the video. So, again, just to recap, Key Lime was landing on 24 right and was told to hold short, clearly told to hold short of runway 24 left. And then the Delta jet had been given clearance for takeoff on 24 left. And then in the middle of his sentence, he notes, looking out the window there, that it doesn't appear that Key Lime, which was an Embraer, what is that, 45 or 35? What's the model of that jet? It's one of the Embraer jets. Anyway, notices that it doesn't appear that 145, thank you, okay, that's it, was going to hold short of that runway. At that point, Delta was already airborne, so it wasn't super critical, but it was still wrong. Looks like iHall Boxes in our live audience is telling us that they're Part 121 and Part 135 scheduled and charter operations. So they're a little mixture of charter ops and scheduled. A little mixed up, yeah. And in the video, which we'll have in the show notes, you can watch it yourself, and you'll see that it does appear when the tower controller did tell them to stop. Actually said stop. That to me anyway, it appeared that the airplane did kind of very quickly come to a stop, and kind of the forward momentum of the airplane kind of pressing down the nose strut looked to me like perhaps the jet wasn't going to stop and was going to continue and cross that 24 left. Metro Doc in our live audience says it was a charter carrying a college basketball team. Oh, wow. How do these people find all this information? That's pretty amazing. Probably on the internet, I bet. Yeah, so anyway, for our purposes here, we want to talk about the situation as far as the potential runway incursion. And so I have the airport diagram here. It shows that I think these are relatively new additions to the north runways, these two taxiways, Yankee and Whiskey, because I don't remember them being there when I flew. And then when I looked at an airport diagram that was published just a few months ago, they were not on there. And I looked at a Google Earth image, and sure enough, they were under construction at the time. So I think they're relatively newly opened. Not that that has anything to do with this incident, but I was remarking to Captain Nick when we were talking about this yesterday that I know that from my experience, a lot of experience flying in and out of Los Angeles International in the 90s, and most of the time it was operating on the south runways, 25 left and 25 right, that the distance between these parallel runways, and it looks to be the same kind of distance over there on the north side, is not a great amount. And when you come off this little kind of I'd call it like a mini high-speed taxiway exit, Yankee, it's not a lot of space between the time that you leave 24 right and you have to stop, because there are going to be some hold bars there. And in the video, it appeared that the key lime jet had kind of crossed, or they were past the. Again, it depends on the angle that we're seeing the video and all that kind of stuff, but it looked like they had already passed the hold short line, and we're getting awfully close to the active takeoff runway 24 left. What do you guys think?
Oh, very much so, Jeff. Because LA, the first airport I ever went to where I got to experience the runway status lights, which are the automated system which protects an in-use runway by putting up an independent set of red lights to indicate to a person just releasing the brakes and starting the takeoff roll that the runway is not clear, or if you are doing as this chap was doing, about to cross the runway, there should be a red stop bars that automatically illuminate when the runway is in use by an aircraft taking off or landing. So, I mean, this is one of the, and it's quite an expensive measure. This is one of the measures that, particularly in the States, that are being introduced to try and prevent runway incursions. Now, if this crew managed to not only ignore their stop clearance they've been given. It's not a clearance really if you're told not to cross. It's a non-clearance. Their instructions to stop before the runway, and manage to not see, assuming it was active on this newly built taxiway, not obey the red stop bars, then I'm pretty concerned. They must have been very distracted by something else that was happening on the flight deck, so they weren't really paying attention to what they're going on. And we all know that because of the density of traffic, the closeness of the runways, the one thing you cannot really afford to do, and I used to instruct my crew that we would hold the after landing checks until we had cleared both runways, because we used to land regularly on 24 right, and we always had this problem of crossing 24 left, and we would do it once we're safely clear of both runways and on the long straight taxiway back to our parking position, and that would be an appropriate time to do those checks. So I don't know what reason the crew have for missing that instruction to stop and everything else. So perhaps we'll find out.
It looked like looked at it on satellite view, and it is a very, very short distance between the hold short bars coming off of 24 right and onto 24 left. So I could see how, especially that being a kind of angled like a high-speed taxiway, at least. If you roll off with any kind of speed, you're at that other stop bar right then. So
yeah,
it could have just surprised him how quickly it came up.
That's been my experience in LA. You have to really be aware that you don't have a lot of room to. In fact, as Captain Nick was saying, they may have been distracted by some post-landing checklists or something like that, heads down, whatever, thinking that, well, we normally don't have to jam the brakes on as soon as we leave the landing runway. And the other thing is that maybe they don't have a lot of experience flying into LAX.
And the other thing I was going to say is huge props to that controller, because he stayed super, just completely level through the whole thing. He said, stop, stop, stop. They stopped. And then he carried on with his day. He didn't get upset about it. He didn't hang on to it. So
No, I agree, AJ. That was very professional of him.
Almost triad level kind of
almost
essay right there. Yeah.
Almost.
Almost. Anyway, and good catch on the runway status information lights, or whatever they call them. That was noted on the airport diagram in use. I'm not sure if they're in use on all of the taxiways that cross active runways there. They should be. So those are great systems, and to ignore the verbal command and the runway status lights, it's pretty. You have to be awfully distracted.
Yes, indeed. Perhaps they had the whole basketball team on the flight deck watching the landing.
Well, our staff, while you were speaking, Captain Nick, did some amazing research and found that they were carrying the Gonzaga basketball team, and they ended up losing the game to, was it UCLA, Liz? Yeah, the Bruins.
All right.
Yeah.
So it wasn't Michael Jordan on the flight deck then?
No, but we're going to talk about Michael Jordan in a later article. Yeah.
Okay, so I thought, if anyone's going to distract him, it'd be him, but there you go.
Yeah. Anyway, maybe those darn basketball players with those super long legs were, entering into the cockpit area, and that distracted them.
Yeah,
and,
could be.
Yeah. Could be, yeah. All right. Anything else to say on that?
No.
Yeah, good job by the controller being aware of what's potentially happening up there.
Yep.
Here's one that AJ may be able to help us out with. It's a general aviation incident, and going to pull up the video of this. And Liz, if you'll put that on the stage, please. Thank you very much. And here we go. It's from another one from Bass Aviation. Oh, by the way, the air traffic control communications that we hear on these videos is from liveatc.net. And now we hear the video. Maybe.
Entering downwind, 45 degrees, 15 Papa.
15 Papa, roger. Runway 24, cleared for the option. Wind is 240 at 16.
Runway 24, clear for the option. Roger, focus on the wind. 15 Papa.
What? So Piper PA-28 Warrior 2, performing flight inbound State College University Park Airport KUNV on initial climb after a touch and go.
15 Papa, our engine is sputtering.
15 Papa, roger.
You gonna make a 180 back to the runway, or what do you like to do?
Yeah, I think I got to land in the field.
Okay, copy that. The wind check 270 at 18, altimeter 3005. We'll get the trucks rolling. Cap 3731, exit Alpha 4, then Alpha Fox to the T's.
Alpha 4, Fox at Fox to the T's. Look for that guy.
Alright, Tower 10 Papa, we are safe on the ground.
And 15 Papa, Roger. And where exactly you set down at?
We made a 90-degree right turn, and I'm in grass next to some wheat.
Okay, we'll get someone down there looking for you. You are safe though, and everyone's okay on board?
Yes, we're safe. The engine is still kind of sputtering. We're going to cut the engine now.
Okay, we're getting personnel on the way. Thank you.
By the way, I've just paused this for a moment. With these videos, Victor puts in subtitles and puts down what he thinks that he's hearing. Now, he's not a native U.S. or English speaker, so he thought the guy was saying they were next to some weed, but I think what he said was wheat, and we'll see in some photographs.
Oh, I prefer that. He shouldn't have said that, Jeff. I prefer the first one.
Okay, yeah, he did.
Would have
He
made
definitely
a great
said
show
weed.
title.
He was definitely in the weeds.
Yeah, okay. And I was also going to say that the controller said, you know, where are you going to go? And he said, I'm just going to put it in the field. And he goes, yeah, I'm giving you clearance to land on the field. Yeah, field are two different fields, I guess. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
He's off station somewhere west of the airport, say a mile and a half or two. I notified 911. They're not sure what to do. I said you guys would get a hold of them. Off field, that's correct. They're off field. Unknown souls on board, but everybody on board is safe.
2 souls on board.
Okay, 15 Papa, are you able to hear me then? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so 2 souls on board. Everybody's safe, and you have no idea exactly where you're at, just somewhere west of the airport.
We're near some
Cap
weed.
3731, are you able to go scout out where he's at so I can get some trucks on the way?
Absolutely, we can do that.
Cap 3731, Roger. Proceed runway 24 clear for takeoff, and he looks like he was just west of the airport there. I saw him go airborne maybe a mile or so off the departure end, north of the center line. Okay,
we're pausing again. He's off field, on a field, in a field, near smoking weed, I think. I don't know. I'm very confused. By the way, CAP, the call sign CAP is Civil Air Patrol, which their kind of mission is to do search and rescue and this kind of thing. So it was very convenient that he happened to be in the pattern, actually landing behind this incident aircraft. And we'll hear more about this in a second.
Yeah, I saw him turn right. We're clear for takeoff 24 here at Alpha 5.
Yep, 24 at Alpha 5.
I am behind.
Yeah, so we actually saw him.
I'm in some guy's backyard. He's walking around.
Okay, copy that. I got a Cessna departing right now. He's going to go over your position, and we'll get a better estimate on where you're at. Just hang tight, and we got some people on the way right now.
Messed up that
guy.
guy.
You said if you just passed, I'm on the other side of Fox Hill Road, and it's like just a straight short. Yeah, north of Fox Hill Road.
Next to the weed.
Okay, north of Fox Hill. Okay, copy that. Cap 3731 altitude, you're just...
That neighbor is kind of pissed off because the guy landed in his weed.
He's north of Fox Hill Road, which is the road that runs parallel to the runway there, just west somewhere. Just let me know when you do get over him.
Wilco, my observer is looking for him right now. Okay, we got him.
All right, Cap 3731, copy that. You have to maneuver for a bit till the off guys get a visual on you and him?
Yeah, we got a visual. It looks like he landed northbound, and he's at the end of a thin grass. He picked a nice bait.
Well, grass and weed.
And
I
21,
thought it
you see
was
the
the same thing.
there over Fox Hill or Fox Run Road?
Clarification.
Okay, he's maneuvering basically over where the Warrior is at until you guys get on station and see him. Also, Center County is not sure what to do. You guys might want to communicate with him.
Okay, the first fire truck just went right past where they are.
Uh-oh.
And RF 21, did you copy that?
Most of the fire trucks need to turn around.
And Alpha 21, you hear the sound?
Alpha acknowledges.
Okay, copy that.
East side of tennis courts.
And RS vehicles, he's east side of the tennis court, so still may get an eye on him.
Okay, first fire truck should take a left in about a quarter mile or less, maybe an eighth of a mile.
And if you guys want to communicate directly with the spotter plane there, that's fine. About a quarter mile left turn, they said.
You'll see a long grass strip pointing north. Okay, first fire truck definitely going the right direction now. I am. You drove up the right, the correct path, and then to your right, ahead, in the grass is the plane. I'm right over it now.
I kept 3731. I can't hear the RF vehicles anymore. Just, you can relay everything. The frequency's yours.
Okay, the fire truck has arrived at the airplane.
All right, copy that. You want to continue to orbit, or you good with coming back to the airport if they're on station?
I think I should come back to the airport. They've found the plane.
Cap 3731, appreciate the help. Runway 24, clear to land.
Runway 24, clear to land. Cap 3731.
Yes, a successful mission. They're showing
All right, Cap 3731, you can make the 180, then Alpha 5, Alpha Fox to the T's. Thanks for your help. You stay in this frequency.
No problem. It's why we do this. It's 23 years, first time I've had to do that.
Yeah, it's kind of nice that you guys were there right when that happened. It looked like he was on an odd touch and go there, and I'm not sure what he was. I thought maybe it was the wind, but yeah, then when he took that hard turn, I knew something was up.
It was good that we were number 2 because we got to see him do that.
Yeah, appreciate the help, guys.
showing pictures of the airplane in the field, and it looks like it's no scratches, nothing. It looks like it was
Look
a
at all
beautiful
that
soft
grass.
field landing. Yeah. I guess that's why you got taught how to do a soft field landing, AJ?
Absolutely.
Ben Singer in our live audience says, I wonder if his pre-takeoff briefing included, quote, if engine failure, we're going for the weed. I bet it did.
Yes.
Sounds like they were pretty ready for that, maneuver. Yeah. So, have you ever flown a Warrior?
I've flown a
AJ?
Cherokee, which is very, very, very similar.
Yeah.
Cherokee, Archer, Warrior, they're all basically the same.
Okay,
airframes,
I've got
some
a
small
question,
changes.
AJ, not wishing to put you on the spot. Why is the trailing edge swept forward of these aircraft? And on both the tailplane
Aerodynamics.
and the wings?
Aerodynamics.
Yeah.
Good answer.
What aerodynamics?
You have to call Piper. I don't know the answer to that.
Hey, get Piper on the phone. Not you, Liz.
Other Piper.
Different Piper. Oh yeah, we have a representative from Piper now with us.
Yes, we do.
Go ahead,
I don't know. This
Miss
seems
Piper.
funky. I think it's spelled different. Something's off.
Yeah, well, she's spelling it the Canadian way, I think.
Oh, that makes sense. He would be able to give you
Oh, yeah,
the
he
formula.
would.
Yeah.
Camacho, where are you, man? I don't know.
Skiving.
Yeah, but
Go ahead.
overall, really, really well done, well handled in an emergency. You could kind of tell from the audio on the radio that this was probably a student pilot, and he sounded already a little bit kind of at his capacity somewhat. When you start reading back something about the winds, you're just trying to
Yes.
regurgitate information at that point. You can
Right.
tell your
Yeah, I was
capacity's
like,
taken up.
What
And
is he
Roger,
saying?
there's wind. Got it. Okay. Yes.
Okay, I got the copy of the wind.
So yeah, really, really well done. I think he made a very good decision, quick decision, and was lucky to have a great landing spot right there, right where he
I was going
needed
to say
it. So
his training was great. He resisted the urge to try to do the impossible turn back around and land on a hard surface runway, and thought, nope. I think he's probably hearing his instructor saying, "Look for a field. Land straight ahead into a field." I guess he made a 90-degree turn initially, and then saw that beautiful. Looks like almost like a grass runway. We're seeing on the video. They have an overhead view of the. Let me see if I can back this up and see the actual.
I've landed on grass
place.
runways that looked a lot worse than that.
No kidding. I mean, it was almost like a perfect place for that field with all the weed in it. Was located. And why can't I find it now? Here we go. There we go. Look at that. That's the shot of the overhead view of this property. Looks like I don't know. Is that an actual like an individual's? It almost looks like a club or something, because there's several pickleball courts and tennis courts and that sort of thing over there.
And that looks like a runway to me.
Yeah, it does. It really kind of looks like a grass runway. Yeah, so it worked out well for him. Tim Van Ram says, put that in your piper and smoke it. Okay. Thank you very much for that. Yep.
Yeah, that was a good one. Only other thing I noticed on that video is he, good for him for staying on the radios, probably would have shut down the engine pretty much right away instead of talking about it for a minute or two while...
I thought the same thing. Like, yeah, the engine's still sputtering. I'm thinking, why the hell is it still running?
Off. Make it off.
Turn it off. So I was getting some behind-the-scenes direction from our producer regarding the news items. We're at about an hour right now, coming up to an hour. So let me take a look here. Oh, yeah, I definitely want to cover this H. Yeah. Okay.
Speaking of time-critical news, there was a Delta flight that shut down and popped the slides on the runway this morning at just a little bit ago at Atlanta.
Really?
Apparently an engine fire. Everybody okay, I think.
Oh, wow.
Got a text from my dad just a little bit ago.
Interesting. I wonder if they were sliding in the snow after they left the
There are
slides.
pictures of the airplane with the slides going down into the snow on the runway.
Oh, wow. Very, very interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Well, it was headed to Minneapolis, so I don't think they packed their flip-flops.
Well, I don't know. You know, have you been on civil airliners with your typical passenger?
This is a valid point.
Agent? Yeah. Okay. Let's go over this one, which is an interesting one, I think. From Paddle Your Own Canoe. It's H. Pilot sues United Airlines for defamation over landing that left the Boeing 767 with major damage that took 7 months to repair. Oh, it just so happens that's the same amount of time that he was a first officer. An ex-United Airlines pilot, you notice, they say, was, well, that's kind of redundant, isn't it? An ex-United Airlines pilot who was terminated, by the Chicago-based carrier following an abnormal landing that left one of the airline's aging fleet of Boeing 767s with such severe damage that it took 7 months to be repaired, is now suing the airline for defamation. Romulo Silva filed his lawsuit against United Airlines earlier this week in a New Jersey district court, demanding damages of at least $100,000 over claims that the airline made false statements to the FAA in the aftermath of the accident. The lawsuit stems from an incident on July 29, 2023, which we covered, when Silva was the pilot flying a Boeing 767 from Newark to Houston Intercontinental Airport as Flight 702, with 193 passengers on board. According to a preliminary accident report by the National Transportation Safety Board, as the aircraft landed, the nose wheel made contact with the runway with an abnormal force, equivalent to a gravitational force of 1.4 G. The aircraft then bounced, and despite Silva's attempts to stop the aircraft from impacting the runway with force for a second time, the nose gear again slammed onto the tarmac with a gravitational force equivalent to around 1.6 G. Then there was a second bounce, and the nose wheel once again impacted the runway for a third time, this time with a gravitational force of 1.6. So two let's see, initially a 1.4 and then two 1.6s. It all adds up to about
Ding,
what,
ding, 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 ding,
3.2,
ding.
4.6, if I did my math correct. Yeah, that's what
It's
it
up to a
ended
broken
up being.
7.6.
A very, very wrinkled, crumpled fuselage on a 767. And let's see, there was substantial damage to the upper crown of the fuselage. The damage was so bad that they had to immediately pull the airplane from service. And but anyway, as I said, it took them 7 months to complete the process and put that new section of the fuselage in. And it's flying again. In his lawsuit, Silva admits that he was the pilot flying the plane at the time of the accident, but insinuates that the captain was responsible for the unusual landing because he failed to arm the speed brakes. The fact that the speed brakes weren't armed, Silva claims, was the reason that the nose gear went down hard on the runway. Silva was pulled from duty the same day as the accident and wasn't allowed to return to work until September 30, when he was first presented with the findings of a flight safety investigation, before being ordered into a simulator to test out his landing skills. Without being given any opportunity to practice his skills after 4 months on the ground and only 113 hours of flight time on the Boeing 767, Silva says he found himself having a so-called check ride in the simulator with a hostile, degrading, and intimidating assessor. He failed his check ride, and less than 2 weeks later, United terminated his employment. United then allegedly told the FAA that Silva was the, quote, pilot in command of Flight 702, despite the fact that this role can only ever be assigned to the captain. Silva believes that this false statement has tarnished his FAA record and effectively made him unemployable as a pilot. Okay, I don't think that's the reason. I don't think that that's the reason he's having trouble getting employment with another airline, just
Probably
using
not.
the phrase pilot in command, which was probably something that HR at United used because he was flying the airplane at the time, and to them, pilot in command was the person, the pilot flying, and they're not the same. We know that, and he knows that. And oh, guess what? I think that the airlines with whom he is applying for, a new job, they probably know the difference between pilot flying and pilot in command. So I'm not sure that his lawsuit is really going to have any teeth, honestly, or traction. Yeah. And the other thing is that he was a flight attendant for United. I don't recall it saying how long he was a flight attendant, but then he got his flight training, and he had been a first officer for United for 7 months. And that leads me to believe, because he was actually fired, that he was probably still on probation. And when you're on probation and you do something like this, you really don't have the people, looking after you and defending you and supporting you. Like if he were off of probation, he would have been a full-fledged member of the Airline Pilots Association, the union that represents the pilots at United, and they probably would have kept him from being terminated. But because he was likely still on probationary period, they said, yeah, you're out of here. And he's kind of upset by that. And I don't know. So UH Blackhawk says, rule number 1 of a bounce, never, ever push the nose down. Exactly. Yeah, and I know that Miami Rick has talked about the landing characteristics of the 767 when the automatically deploying, or normally automatically deploying speed brakes when main wheel touchdown spin up, or whatever the requirement is for the auto spoilers to extend to help prevent from slamming the nose wheel down. It is a thing. I know we have some people here in our live audience that have experience flying that jet. I'm pretty sure anyway. And so maybe you can chime in as well. But it is a known thing, and it probably caught Mr. Silva by surprise. But you have to know how to recover from a bounced landing, as UH Blackhawk mentions here. And apparently he didn't do so. And that resulted in significant damage to the aircraft. But his lawsuit, to me, I was thinking if he was really serious, I don't know about you all, but if the implication here is that United now has kept him from ever gaining gainful employment with an airline. I don't know how old he is, but I would have shot for a figure much higher than $100,000. That just seems like, really? Why even bother? I would say, I have 30 years left in my career, and based on that, you guys owe me $5 million or something, much higher. That's just me, I guess. But UH Blackhawk in the audience says the 7576 does not have a speed brake armed light, so as an FO you rely on the captain doing it. Yeah, and I guess you can glance over and see whether or not the speed brake handle has been armed for deployment. Maybe even putting your hand over there on it just to kind of double check, as we did on the jet that I used to fly. Anyway, yeah, there were some circumstances here that led to this event, but the way he handled the bounce, number one, and number two, his performance in the simulator after the fact. I mean, maybe he just wasn't a very good, or didn't have great landing skills. I don't know. What do you guys think? You're muted, Nick.
Damn. Sorry about that.
Right.
Yeah, very much interesting one. Very much, he said, she said. So we're getting one side of the story. We're not really getting an awful lot from United. Although, what can you do? It's a court case, and it'll be sorted out in the courts. Like you, Jeff, I don't think this is a very strong case for Silver. But, all right, let's just assume the captain didn't deploy the automatic or activate the automatic speed brakes. The fact that he bounced, you've got to know how to handle a bounce landing, because it might not be the lack of speed brake or spoiler deployment that's caused your bounce. It could easily be just a gusty day and the aircraft settled hard onto the runway because of the wind, and then you bounce. You can't mishandle the airplane so badly following a bounce landing that you wreck it. And the amount of damage to this airplane was quite phenomenal. They had to take an entire section of the fuselage out and replace it. It would have been very expensive. I think that sort of points the finger at the lack of skills or lack of training with this particular pilot. And, I have a certain sympathy that if he hadn't had a chance to fly for 4 months and then they threw him in a simulator and said, okay, off we go. But in my experience, most instructors with this kind of a situation, they've got someone in there who's had a severe problem and is probably a bit shaken by it. The confidence would be shaken by it. A good instructor's not going to just go, well, away you go. They're going to put him up in a situation, and this will have been documented by the company, and he probably wasn't the only person in the simulator, was the instructor. There'll be another pilot in there as well, so he's got witnesses, on the conduct of the simulator. They're going to demonstrate. They're going to give him a chance to practice different scenarios where he has to demonstrate his skills in this environment. So it's not like he'll be thrown in, given one chance, and no, you didn't crack that, you're fired. It just doesn't work that way. Right. My feeling is that they would have tried hard to get him through this hump, this problem, and at the end of probably several hours in the simulator, they probably had to put their hands in the air and go, sorry, that's, you hadn't shown any improvement. I'm afraid what we've seen before and what we see now, because he will have had a training record, quite a long one, after 7 months with the company. He's done all his, his simulator work beforehand, his training, etc. They'll know a bit about him. They will have formed an opinion that makes them decide that they don't really want to employ him anymore. And I think taking out a court case, if you really want to continue your flying career, taking out a court case against a company that has dismissed you is probably just the wrong thing to do, because any potential employer is going to have their ear to the ground. It's a very small community. Everybody knows everybody. And someone will go, oh, yeah, this bloke's applied to join us. He had a problem with United, but perhaps he's okay now. And then they'll go, oh, but he took out this huge court case and he's been arguing, trying to argue and clear himself, and find some other way to blame his error. In which case you go, do we really want this? Is this the sort of person we want in our company? Perhaps not. So I think he's not doing himself any favors by taking out this court case. And I realize he probably feels upset with United. Perhaps he thinks he should have been given more opportunities to get over this issue. But regardless, they've made a decision. He has to live with it. And if he wants to get another job, then do so. Go to another field or another country and, try and gain experience there.
It's almost, I agree with everything you said. It's almost as if Silva realizes I'm screwed and the only thing that I have left at this point is a lawsuit to try to grab as much money, compensation as I can at this point, because he must know that, as you said, trying to get a job with a future airline is going to be almost impossible now with the filing of a lawsuit. And I agree with you also, as does I Haul Boxes in our live audience. As an instructor, you'd want to help and make a better pilot, unless there's an attitude problem that can't be fixed. And if there is, they'll probably have a record of that as well in his training. And, they probably not only sunk a lot of money into repairing this airplane, but they've also sunk quite a bit of money in this person as an employee. And if this person has a great attitude, and they can probably work through whatever they need to do to get his skill level up. And it seems that they probably did that, and it was like, I'm sorry, but we can't, we can't rehabilitate this particular guy, and he probably realizes it as well. So hence the lawsuit, I'm guessing. Again, this is all speculation, but
that's the culture. That's the way the culture has gone now, is with the FAA, and for everything I know about the airlines, is that they'd much rather retrain you and make you a better pilot, exactly like you said, because of all of the money they have invested, especially from the airline side, obviously. But a lot of people are terrified. Any incidents with you have a phone number to call. The FAA doesn't want to take your license. They want to retrain you and make you a better pilot if they need to, or however they need to do that. But I think it's the same thing with the airlines, like you just said. I like UH Blackhawk's comment there. I don't know if you saw that. Doesn't this guy watch Austin Powers?
Yeah, isn't he? Yeah, he's not $100,000 man. He should be a $6 million.
$1 million.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, I was thinking Steve Austin. See, I jumped to the wrong character
Austin.
here. I was thinking the $6 million man.
$6 million might be a little extra.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
We can rebuild him.
Yes, perfect. The APG legal department has determined that this is a frivolous lawsuit. Okay, thank you, staff and legal department. And speaking of, AJ, you mentioned your father had mentioned that there was an incident at the Atlanta International Airport. Well, you may remember Captain Dana. Captain Dana just sent me a text, and it says,
"Oh, it was him."
Well, no. I don't think so. I don't think he's on the 7.5. Yeah, he goes, "Hey, really, I didn't mean to do this, but sorry."
Send him a lawyer contact from Mr. Silva.
Just let's see, a Delta 757 300 was flying from Atlanta to Minneapolis with 207 people on board, accelerating from takeoff from Atlanta's runway 9 left. Okay, they were on takeoff. The crew rejected takeoff at about 85 knots over the ground, right there at the between the low and high speed abort regime, or not regime, envelope, or whatever you want to call it. The crew rejected the takeoff due to an engine failure, a Pratt & Whitney 2043. Unclear whether engine fire. The aircraft slowed safely, stopped on the runway near taxiway Sierra, about 1,800 meters down the runway. It was evacuated via all slides. 4 people received injuries during the evacuation. Okay, so we'll probably cover this on our next show, most likely. So, Dana, if you're listening, thank you for sending us that information. And if it was you, I hope you have your lawyers lined up. Okay. Thanks, Liz. So I think we decided that we are going to go ahead and end our news segment and move on. Yeah, we do have a lot of getting to know us. Okay, let's do that then by pushing this button that no pilot would push. Except for this pilot. Getting to know us, it's the segment of the show where we kind of get caught up with what everybody's been up to between episodes. And since we were just talking about Atlanta and the Atlanta International Airport, and you may have heard us mention here and there snow or wintry precipitation. And in fact, if you're watching the video, you'll see that AJ is outside on his deck, it appears, and there's a lot of snow behind it. And he's only wearing a short sleeve shirt.
I'm on the roof, actually.
Oh, you're on the roof. Okay.
I'm very committed.
And,
I want the best
wow.
view.
No, he doesn't have a hat on. He's wearing a short sleeve shirt. It's pretty amazing. What a man. Tell us about what's happening in Atlanta.
This might be the next snowpocalypse. Based on the state of the grocery store yesterday afternoon, it was pretty horrendous. But yeah, we got a good bit of snow, surprisingly. So first, yeah, sure, yeah, you can put those pictures up. So got a couple of pictures from the neighborhood of where a street used to be. Now it's just all snow. And obviously no one's going anywhere because no one in the southeast corner of the United States knows how to drive in snow. So that's probably a good thing.
And not to mention also that it's going to soon going to be really dicey because it's supposed to, they're supposed to get potentially up to a half inch of ice.
Yeah, it's gonna. I think the temperature's gonna rise to like 34 degrees for about 2 hours, just enough to melt that top layer, and then it's gonna go back down into the 20s. So we get just a really nice thick layer of ice on everything. So that's gonna be super perfect. Have a friend of mine in the tower at my home airport sent me some pictures of our airplanes and some other things. Can you, Liz? Can you go to the one? Yeah, nope. Next one. The one. That one. I love this picture because it says so much about the South. In that. We have a snowplow, but based
that's
on
the only
this
one,
picture, we obviously don't know how to operate it.
You gotta put that scoop thing in the front down on the.
For those on the audio podcast, there's a picture of a snowplow driving across the ramp with the plow blade itself about 2.5 feet up in the air. Not very.
But to be fair, he's probably trying to get from a different, repositioning. But it is fun to talk about the fact that they don't know how to use the snowplow. But
I'm saying it could go either way. That's all.
It could. Yeah, you're right. Look at that. That's something you don't see very much at the Cobb County International Airport.
Exactly. So, yeah. Wow. So there was obviously some humorous texts between a few people, a few pilots this morning about, hey, you want to go flying? It's only 603. We can do it.
Yeah,
it's triple the minimum. So
nice weather.
But yeah,
nice.
So it was glad I got back when I did, because that airplane in one of those pictures, the close-up airplane, that was the one I flew back from Charleston. So
back? Yeah. What are you talking about?
Ago.
What were you doing over there in Charleston? Just to kind of remind everybody.
As we touched on in the last show, I was out there for the COM3 program. It's an accelerated commercial program, which I don't know if accelerated commercial is really the right word for it, because you have to come in with all of your prerequisites, all of your long cross countries, and all the things the FAA, the hours and things that you need, and your written test and all that. And basically, it is a intense training period right before your check ride. So you spend 3 straight days with one instructor. You guys are joined at the hip for 3 days straight, and then you do your check ride right after that. And it was fantastic. I had an amazing instructor. Had a lot of fun. We clicked right away. Pictures that are showing right now are of downtown Charleston and the Ravenel Bridge, which is a beautiful place to fly. And we were based operating at the Charleston Air Force Base, which is got the opportunity to go do a tower tour and a Tracon tour over at Charleston, which is really, really neat because it's an Air Force base. My understanding is the Air Force owns the base, owns the airport, but they give the airport and the taxiways to the Civilian Airport Authority, and they keep their own ramp. They got a lot of C-17s and some other things stationed.
Yeah, kind
there.
of a typical joint use kind of.
But it's listed on the chart as Charleston Air Force Base if you look at your sectional, which kind of apparently throws off some people because the tower controllers were telling me a few times that they've had Air Force guys doing training flights and things, and they call them up and say, hey, we'd like to do some night vision ops, which for those unfamiliar is where you turn off every single light on the facility, and they come in and land under night vision only. And the tower controller's like, no, I'm not going to do that because there's a Southwest 5 miles behind you on final. They may not be prepared for that. So that's some interesting stuff. This is, I believe, on final into runway 3 at Charleston. That picture showing there out the front of the airplane. So my instructor took a few pictures. This is a picture with my designated pilot examiner, who had a great sense of humor. He was a lot of fun to fly with. Really, really smart guy. But this is the official handshake and document photo.
Yay.
So I am officially a commercial pilot now. Thank you. So now I just have to find a job. So if anybody's out there looking for a ferry pilot, I know a guy. Just saying.
He's lighting the loafers.
Hey.
I was just looking at. I'm thinking when you said on the chart, Charleston Air Force Base, but I think I don't remember that. But then I looked at the official government airport diagram. It says Charleston AFB/INTL CHS. So that kind of belies the designation of a joint use facility. Actually, I flew into Charleston Air Force Base when I was in the Air Force. Flying the C-141.
Was that your 141 that was on the parked off in the dirt?
Yeah, well, they I kind of had a hard landing and they couldn't use it anymore, so they just kind of left it there in the dirt. But no, I was based I did fly to Charleston quite often actually, but I was based in Travis. But they had 2 squadrons of C-141s at Charleston Air Force Base at the time that I was in the Air Force, and
that's my instructor, Mike Hotel. He was fantastic. Nice. We had a ton of fun. He's hopefully he'll be in the airline soon. He actually just went down to Delta or Acme and did his ATP CTP course, so he's on his way. And this was the picture the DPE took. He said, make sure that picture works out. Does that look good? So he took that as a humorous thing.
Oh, I thought maybe this was he was doing the hood, like putting his hand over your.
No,
eyes.
He actually has apparently that's a trend. He's got, there's a lot of pictures that instructors and students will get after his check rides, and some of them have put together a collage of him doing that on all of their phones. So it's kind of one of his things.
Cool. And so, did you have to bring your own airplane?
You don't have to, but you have the option. There's a price difference. You can just sign up and use their airplane for the whole time, or you can bring your own. I'm lucky enough and blessed enough to be part of a flying club here that allows me to do that. So I was able to bring the airplane that I've flown before. I know very well, and flew that over there and did all the flying.
Definitely an advantage.
Absolutely
you're comfortable in that airplane.
So yeah, enjoyed it, and it was very nice flying there because I had about a 50 knot give or take tailwind. So I got there in 2 hours, and I had about a 40-ish knot headwind on the way home, which took me about 2 hours and 50 minutes to get home.
2 days.
So it was fun putzing along in the little 172. But like I said, I had a lot of fun doing it, and it was a good time. So definitely recommend it to anybody who's on that route.
All right. Well, congrats. And just another step in your
One more step.
career journey. So that's awesome. Happy to hear that. Anything else going on besides all the wintry weather there in Atlanta? Family doing all right? All right.
Everybody's doing great. Family's
Yeah.
great. I was going to say earlier that the earliest my kids have gotten up on a non-school day was this morning because of the snow. So they were,
Oh, yeah.
were up
Exciting.
at 9:45 this morning, already bundled up and ready to go play in the snow.
Nice.
So good times. Something they don't get to see very often. Actually, my 3-year-old, this will be the first time she's ever seen snow. So
Cool. Bet she's excited. All right. Yeah. Okay. I thought I had the helm, but I'll go ahead and retake it, and I will tell you a little bit about what I have been up to since the last show. And I am still in. Where was I the last time I did the show? I think it was up in the campground, Shady Grove.
yeah, you were
I
still at
think.
the campground.
Okay, up in Lake Lanier, and then just northeast of Atlanta. So I probably mentioned, I don't recall exactly what I said, that I was planning on heading south to avoid the forecast winter weather and the forecast low minimum temperatures. And I'm glad I did because of what AJ has been telling us about along with all the wintry precipitation. It's also, the temperatures have been quite chilly. In the teens, I believe, the low temperatures last night, and I think that again tonight and subsequent days it's going to be quite chilly up there. So I'm glad that I have the Road Vessel Studio in warmer climes. Not warm, but warmer compared to that part of the country that AJ's in. So let's see, what day was it that I left for? Was it Saturday? Yeah, I checked out Saturday from the campground, and I headed down into South Georgia in a place called Ashburn, and right on, or right off of, I guess, on I-75 would be a bad place to park. Just, you can see in the background of this photo, that's Interstate 75, and the sign there says Carol's Sausage and Country Store, and yeah, so I parked there. It's a Harvest Host boondocking location, and spent the night there and had some good sausage. And the next day, I made it down into Florida, and a place between Ocala and Orlando, kind of the Leesburg area, close to or just east of the Villages, for those of you familiar with that area of Florida, and stayed in well, it's actually kind of an equestrian center where they have events involving horses and stuff, and they also have an RV parking area, and I snagged one of those sites for a couple of nights. And if you'll show the next slide there, Liz. No, I mean you're not showing anything on the well, it's not on the. There we go. That is where that was looking from my campsite toward some of the. You can see all that fencing in the background there. That's what did you call that, Liz? The dressing area or dressage? Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, anyway, this is a bunch of horses neighing in the background, and saw several times during the time I was there of the little horse-drawn, not sleighs, but carriages walking around, a couple of horses pulling the carriages. And it was very peaceful and not too hot, which it usually does get pretty darn hot, that area of Florida. But because of the weather system and all that cold air coming down from Canada, it was very, very pleasant at my stay at the Grand Oaks, I think it was called. And I think there's one more on that one, or what's the next one? Okay. Pop. Okay. Oh, yeah. So the next day I made it down to Sebring, Florida, and this is the alleyway behind Harvest Host that I stayed at or parked at overnight. And it's the Sugar Sand Brewing Company. Actually, the 301 is the establishment, but the Sugar Sand Brewery and Distillery have a presence there. And then there's another like a hamburger joint that's all kind of located inside the thing. But that's my parking space behind the retail establishment, and so I spent the night there. And then finally, oh no, that's still in Sebring. I went out for a walk. This is Lake Jackson, the Sebring historic downtown area, located on the Lake Jackson. Yeah, no, I don't think it's named after my choir director, Liz, but same last name, but probably different family. And this is where I am now. Well, not actually. The first, let's see, it must have been, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday that I arrived down here in Chokoloskee Island, just south of Everglades City, about as far as you can go in the peninsula of Florida on the southwestern side of the state. Everything to the, well, basically everything around. In fact, right now, this little island is, I think, part of the Everglades National Park. And this establishment that I have a picture of here is the Havana Cafe, the Harvest Toast location. And I was you can kind of maybe see, if you back up, Liz, in the background toward the left side of the frame. It's hard to see, but that's my RVS parked back there, kind of below where the sun is setting in the background. And so I stayed there a night, and I've basically eaten every meal so far. I've been here at the Havana Cafe, and that's the outdoor bar area. And actually, I have a little movie that I could play. So let's see here. Let me find that. And if you'll pop my screen share on the stage, Liz. And then here we go. There's live entertainment. This is for lunch. I'm in this is all an outdoor area. And hang on, I'll get to you. Telephone's ringing at the bar. And there's a guy playing the guitar in the background. Somebody get that phone. Okay, anyway, so that's kind of a cool place. And again, the people that are around me here in this little RV camp area are probably wondering, what is wrong with that guy? He keeps screaming things every now and then. Yeah, so the people that own the Harvest Host, the Havana Cafe, also own the Parkway Motel and Marina. And I think they own some other things here on the island too. It's not a big place. And they had an RV pad here that had vacated, and it has full hookups. So that's where I am right now. That's where we're recording the show, or I'm recording the show anyway. And right behind me is like a little boat, like a little canal with covered boat slips. So I'm literally literally a stone's throw from the water here in Chokoloskee. And tonight, I have a good friend. You may remember me telling you about my trip down to Naples last year, and I met my high school band fellow trumpeters, Stan Lindsay and Bill Hightower. Stan lives here in well, not here, but just up the road in Naples. And so I contacted him and let him know that I was pretty close by where he lives. And he said, let's do lunch. I guess it's really going to be dinner. He's going to come down after the show recording around 5 o'clock today. And he's going to pick me up. And we're going to, I guess he has some experience with Everglades City. And he said he knows a couple of places that might be good for a nice meal. So he's going to pick me up here. And we're going to have some seafood together, I think. So I'm looking forward to that. And where am I going to be? Oh, UH Blackhawk says that looks wonderful as I view the frozen Hudson River. Yeah, things are much, much nicer here, I think. The outside temperature is 70 degrees Fahrenheit. It actually gets a little chilly at night here and down in the 40s. When I woke up this morning inside, I didn't have the furnace on, so it got down to about 52 degrees Fahrenheit, and I like it nice and cold in the RVS. But yeah, so I'm down here basically in South Florida to escape the cold temperatures so that I don't have to winterize this thing again. And looking at the projected low temperatures for the next couple of weeks. And yeah, I might be down here in Florida, or maybe I'll start making my way out west or something. I may be away from the Atlanta area for a while, because it looks like temperatures keep dipping down into that danger region for winterization or not for me. So I think I'm going to end up in the Tampa area around the weekend of the 18th, 19th. The Florida RV Super Show is going on, and I've gone to it the last 2 years. And so I might go over there and hang out for a bit later in the week. And then there's a meetup that I'm going to attend. One of the YouTubers that I follow, they're full-time RVers. I've purchased a ticket for that meetup, so that's Saturday the 18th. But hey, if any of you are in this area, or the Tampa area, or between where I am and Tampa, holler at me. Send me a tweet or an email or whatever, and maybe we can come up with some kind of an APG meetup. And as far as after next weekend, where am I going to be? I don't know. We'll see. I'll let you know. Yeah, let's see. What are you up to, Captain Nick?
Let me think. I've done a dog shoot. Having said I've retired, I had one shoot that was sort of outstanding from a couple of years now. Already been paid for as a gift, but the lady and her dogs and I never managed to get together. There were long gaps. Anyway, got her up onto the Army ground yesterday and did the shoot, and that was absolutely brilliant. Got 3 very active Cocker Spaniels that were really hard to shoot, because particularly the tiny one that was the quickest and the most random about dashing hither and thither, and it was very hard to track. So anyway, that was great fun, and got that out of the way. And I was going to today to chat to the guys, the dog handling team who look after the Army ground that I usually exercise our dogs on. Because, I love taking pictures, and I've, on a voluntary basis, photographed a number of working dog trainers and teams, search and rescue teams, that sort of thing. And I thought, it'd be a nice thing to, since I know one of the dog handlers anyway, go down and photograph the dog handlers and their charges. These amazing military dogs that they have down there. So they've got Malamutes and Alsatians and things. And I thought that'd be really good fun. Anyway, that fell through because my car won't start. It's all cold out there.
Oh,
and
no.
I know, snow on the ground and ice everywhere. And the Audi's just been under a car cover. But I hadn't... He hasn't turned a wheel for a few weeks, and of course the battery has been sitting there slowly losing charge as it tries to keep all the electronics ticking over, and it obviously be a bit much for it. So it's on charge now. Perhaps it'll
Batteries
work tomorrow.
love cold weather, don't they?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, it is a German car, it ought to know a little bit about the snow, but anyway, by the by. Now, today is the last of Colin Bell's Plain Tales, and you remember Colin is our 103-year-old Mosquito pilot, and I just wanted to take this final opportunity to mention Bob, who was Bob Judson, who was the very kind chap who arranged this interview and then invited me along to join him and help record Colin's amazing recounting of his experiences as a World War II pilot. And if you're interested in Bob, because he is a leadership coach and he is a consultant in the field of psychology and life and executive coaching, that sort of thing for big companies. So if you want to check out his website, it's at www.leading.leadingforlife, and that's figure 4, leadingforlife.co.uk. And his podcast, although it comes out on Buzzsprout, you can just search for Leading for Life and you'll find it on any decent podcast app. And the big thing I wanted to mention is Colin. If you've been listening to the Plain Tales, you'll know what a fantastic raconteur he is, but he's visiting America. And he'll be in California in a few weeks, and we'll be speaking at the Voices of Valor Gala dinner. I noticed they've misspelt Valor. I don't know quite why they do that, but there you go. Voices of Valor, of which he is undoubtedly one. And it's a tribute to the greatest generation, which I think is a lovely compliment to those surviving World War II pilots. Colin won't be the only speaker, but he is certainly, in my mind, going to be one of the best. And it'll be held at the Palm Springs Air Museum in California, and it'll be held on the 8th of February. So if you want to find out about tickets, now they're not cheap, they're well over $500, but I personally think it would be well worth it. And I have no idea if there are any tickets left, but you need to pop over to their website, palmspringsairmuseum.org/gala for their gala dinner. You need to have a black tie. And not just one of those old ones. This means a bow tie.
I have one for my uniform.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Wrapping around your forehead is not going to work. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You'll get thrown out, even if you do have a $500 ticket. No, a nice black bow tie and all the formal dinner jacket accoutrements to go along with that. So I think it would be a fantastic place to visit and a fantastic gala to go to, and I'm sure that the money they generate will be going to good causes. But anyway, I thought I'd get all that out because it's one of the last chance, and all that information will, Jeff assures me, be in the show notes afterwards.
Yeah, I'm looking at the website right now. It looks like it's going to be an elite show because they had the elite show band.
Oh, right. Ooh, okay, nice.
Very nice.
There you go.
I was thinking about driving all the way over to Palm Springs, but $525 and a black tie, I think I'm out.
Yes. Well, I can lend you a black tie. I've got several, but...
well, I mean, I probably need the rest of it, the outfit with it as well.
Yeah, probably, yeah. My preference is for a silk horse-colored jacket, on a DJ. I think always they look very cool.
I thought this was like a Chippendales thing where you just wore the black tie.
Well, Jeff might be able to get away doing that, particularly if he holds his stomach in.
I don't think I can hold my stomach in for that long. So I'm out.
Oh, what a shame. What a shame.
Yeah.
Perhaps they'll send you a free ticket. You never know.
You never know. And then I can go and buy a nice tuxedo.
Yes. Liz Shout's cover art. So we had some great suggestions last week. We were talking about how to get your dog, if you've got one in the cabin of an aircraft, a support dog, down a slide if you do an evacuation. Well, this cover art shows you how. You put your dog on a slide and it goes on down just like Snoopy. We had an aircraft, I'm trying to think what it was called. It was a Grumman Tiger, that's right, that collided with a Cessna. And so we've got that in this picture, because sticking out of the back of Snoopy's flying kennel is the back end of a rather bent now Grumman Tiger. And we were talking about rear end on the runway, canine slips and slides. But really, we settled on Jeff's dark and stormy night. That's a bit of a story Jeff might want to tell, but it was about him getting a request to ring a certain phone number, yeah?
Yeah, and when I mentioned, when I was talking about it on the last show, I thought I was talking to somebody from Atlanta Center. They were the ones that notified me and gave me the number to copy. But the organization that I was talking with was Potomac Approach Control, and they were the ones that informed me that of the possible alleged violation, and I explained that I was let off the hook for that. And I also have a link in the last show for the Catholic pilot episode that I recorded. And at the time, I was already doing the Airline Pilot Guide show, but I was kind of keeping the Catholic pilot thing in the background to do, like more personal and intimate kind of things. And this kind of, well, intimate, you know what I mean. Yeah, it was one of the last Catholic pilot episodes that I recorded, and I had a link to that in the last show if you want to hear me tell the whole story about what happened that dark and stormy night up in
It's
Washington,
a good
DC.
story, actually. I thoroughly enjoyed listening to that, and you did explain it very well. It improved my consideration, my attitude towards your flying skills enormously, Jeff, to listen to that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why it looks like Washington there with the White House and Capitol Hill. What else we got? Of course, Snoopy was a great author, and he always started his books, it was a dark and stormy night, or it was a dark and stormy night. So that is hence the show title. Now, what else we got? The show number, 646 is this show, but if you look at the page underneath, you'll faintly see 645.
645.
Hiding exactly underneath 646. So that's the show number for last week. And of course, the logo was integral in Snoopy's goggles.
Very clever.
There you go. So, and the one thing I forgot, I was going to put a grey moustache on Snoopy there, but I damn well forgot that. Wasn't that silly of me? Anyway, that's last week's cover up.
Very nice. As usual.
So I just want to point out that I have fulfilled my contractual obligation, and I brought one new viewer to the show. So Echo Romeo there in the chat.
Okay.
Mark that down.
Who's this in the chat that we're talking about?
E. Richardson. That's one of my good
Echo
friends.
Romeo.
He managed to join us. So there's my
Excellent.
one person. Mark that down.
Hello
Hi.
there, E.
Hi,
Richardson.
Echo.
Welcome. Echo.
Echo.
All right. Very
Echo.
good. Coffee Fund. Okay. Let me find that button to push. Here we go.
Johnny, how much more coffee?
No thanks.
I love coffee, I love tea, I love the APG community. Coffee and tea, and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup.
Don't you enjoy listening to Liz sing, AJ?
Absolutely.
A little bit of latency involved. I usually try to take the latency out when I do the audio-only podcast. Anyway.
That's better. You guys harmonize.
Yeah. The Coffee Fund is your way to support our show financially if you have the financial resources to do it. And you haven't given all your money to that other podcast. So since our last episode, we have a couple of folks who've used the Coffee Fund Classic method. We have E. Holiday. I'm not sure what the E stands for. Exciting Holiday? I don't know. So thank you, E. Holiday, for your contribution. And also Mazus Kareem, Dr. Kareem, who's with us here in the chat room. Yay. as he gives us his normal monthly contribution. Very generous. Thank you very much, Doctor. And the other way to support the show is to become a patron of the show via Patreon. And we have a new producer, Daniel Schurner. And so thank you very much, Daniel, for signing up to be a patron of the show. If you're interested in finding out how you can join the Coffee Bar Club, please head over to airlinepilotguide.com/coffee. You'll be glad you did. And we will too. All right. So I don't think that he needs to do anything a setup for the plane tail. Okay. Okay, yeah. Let us know when you're ready to go. Okay. Oh, it's one of the timed slides thing, right? Okay. And then I just want to make sure that I actually have the audio ready to go. I do. Let me just check the volume on it. Wow, that's loud. Let's see. Try this.
The All Pilots Plane Tales. Flight Lieutenant Colin Bell, DFC. Part 3.
We were interviewed by the flight commander, and he said, look, why don't you chap...
Okay.
I think we have an answer
very good.
What does E stand for in the chat.
What's that?
I think we have an answer to what does E stand for in the chat.
Oh, Ernest.
Metrodoc said Ernest.
Okay. Does Metrodoc know E. Richardson?
No. E. Richardson is different. We're talking about from the coffee fund.
Oh, he must be E. Holiday.
There it is.
Ah, now I'm finally putting the pieces together.
E. Richardson.
Oh yeah,
is Issa.
It is Doc Holiday. That's what you should go by. I like that, Metrodoc.
Excellent.
Right.
Does he know the importance of being earnest?
Yeah, well, obviously he's being very earnest. And and that's another interesting thing. If he is we're assuming that you're a doctor, maybe because of your username Metrodoc, and if you are, then that makes 2 doctors that contributed via the Coffee Fund Classic method.
Some might call that a trend.
Yeah, wow. So all you doctors out there, come on, pony it up. Can I give us some of that money?
Before you get your bonanzas.
While we're talking about individuals like that, might I mention that I have written to, his nickname now has gone out of my brain. Come and help me out here.
Oh, El
Piloto. So,
Piloto.
Els Piloto. So, old chap, I've replied to your email, and you need to just probably check your trash, your junk folder to see if it's gone astray. Either that you're working too hard at the moment and you need to relax a bit and reply.
I think anytime you see something from Captain Nick, it automatically goes to the chat.
I don't blame you. Don't blame you. I'm now sitting on something very hot. My wife has given me a hot pad to try and ease the ache of my left leg. Not good.
Oh, no. I was going to say, aren't you? I thought you were, before we started recording, you said it was the room that you're in is awfully warm, so you're just contributing to the warmth.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
It's more concentrated heat, I think.
Well,
so we're going to go ahead and do the
I'm glad it
plane
was in
tail. And as mentioned in the Getting to Know Us segment, this is the third and last installment, part 3, of the interview done by Captain Nick, Flight Lieutenant Colin Bell, DFC, part 3. Take it away, old pilot.
The All Pilots Plane Tales. Flight Lieutenant Colin Bell, DFC, part 3.
We were interviewed by the flight commander, and he said, look, why don't you chaps sign up for 2 tours now instead of just 1, because I'll give you more interesting work. And I looked across at my very experienced Canadian navigator, and I waited for him to reply. And he said to the flight commander, I'm looking for the Victory Medal, not the VC.
In this tale, we continue with the interview of World War II pilot Flight Lieutenant Colin Bell, DFC. At the age of 103, Colin recalls what it was like when he and his navigator Doug flew the de Havilland DH-98 Mosquito bomber into action as part of a Pathfinder squadron. This is the third and final part of the interview with Colin, and we listened with great interest to Colin's fascinating wartime stories.
Doug once said he could fly the plane as well as I could. Well, he got his chance because on one occasion at 25,000 feet, my oxygen supply failed. And you can't be at 25,000 feet without oxygen. And I remember saying to him very clearly, Doug, I'm feeling a bit tired, and I raised my arms above my head. And the next thing I found, we were in a descending spiral at 10,000 feet. Doug was desperately trying to revive me with an emergency oxygen bottle. I never let him get it. I flew with Canadian-built Mosquitoes, and they had Packard Merlin engines, and it was known that on some of the Packard Merlins they'd got weak conrods, and if a conrod failed on takeoff, that was it, because you'd lose an engine, and if you were taking off with a full load of gasoline, a full bomb load, you got your undercarriage down and your flaps down, there was simply nothing you could do. I mean, you just have to crash land it, and not a very happy experience. In fact, one of our rather naive young men, on hearing of this, said to our Australian wing commander, Scotty, what do you do in such a situation? He said, well, there's only one thing you can do. He said, you go in ahead and die like an officer and a gentleman. The only vice, really, that the Mosquitoes suffered from, if you call it a vice, is that both propellers rotated in the same direction. And this caused a downward force on the port wheel. And for that reason, there was a tendency for it to swing off the direction of travel. But if you knew what you were about, you made sure that you gave a bit of extra boost to your port engine to counterbalance that. But it was something you had to watch out for. That was really the only vice that it had. And but of course, occasionally you did lose an engine. I remember going out over the channel and seeing a whole stream of glycol sort of pouring away from my port engine, and I decided I wouldn't go on with the mission. I mean, there was some press-on people that actually went out on their missions on one engine. I wouldn't recommend it. I wasn't that press-on, so I went back to Ford Aerodrome, and I landed on one engine, not very difficult, because the Mozzie could fly almost as well on one as it could on two, once you got airborne, you know. And anyway, I landed, and I got out with my nav, who incidentally wasn't Doug anymore. Where she was Doug. And we went up into the mess, and I started on my bacon and eggs, and the steward came up and said, sir, there's an aircraft that's just come down from Downham Market to take you back. And I said, well, he'll have to wait until I've had my bacon and eggs, you see. So I thought he looked a bit uneasy, but he moved away, and he came back a bit later and said, the pilot who's waiting for you is becoming very irate, sir. So I said, I don't care how irate he becomes. I don't care if it is the station commander himself. He said, well, actually, it is the station commander. I said, well, and we had a station commander then called Wing Commander Alabaster. He's gone now. and they say, you know, what's the phrase, the Latin phrase, de mortuis non easy bonum, which translated for the peasants means don't say anything about the dead except good. Anyway, Alabaster sort of moaned and groaned about me being late in coming down. He said if I could have got you back to the station in time, you could have gone into the reserve aircraft and we'd have maintained our 100% sort of output. And he said, as it is, you wrecked it. So I let him go belting on, and I kept my head down, and I thought, well, he'd run out of steam sooner or later, and he did. And on that phrase, de mortuis non easy bonum, there was a famous actress, Bette Davis, who hated another American actress called Joan Crawford. And on hearing that Joan Crawford had died, some woman said to Bette Davis, now, Bette, she said, de mortuis non easy bonum, say nothing about the dead other than good. Oh, she said, Joan Crawford has died. Good. I flew an aircraft called K for King, and it's displayed, a painting of it is displayed in this club right opposite the Louvre. It served me very well, and I was very sorry that when I heard after I finished my tour and another crew took over, they only flew it 5 missions, and they got plastered by anti-aircraft fire, and they couldn't find anywhere to force land it at night, so they bowed out over France and left it up there. Well, aircraft don't stay up in there very long when they haven't got a crew. That was the end of poor old K for King. But I had another one that I flew occasionally, which was known as L for Leather. And L for Leather served us quite well, but it was not, to my mind, it didn't feel just as good as K for King. Yeah.
Colin, full of stories, told us about a close call he had with some anti-aircraft fire.
I think it really was due to my, well, it was certainly due to my inexperience, because it has to be understood that anti-aircraft fire, there was a lapse of time between they fired the shell and shell reaching you. And remember, we were flying 4 miles up in the sky, so there was a significant period of time. So the Germans, although they had radar on you, which were connected to their searchlights and guns, they had to predict where you would be. And that's why it was known as predicted anti-aircraft fire. And if you had any sense, unless you were on the bombing run, you made sure that where the shells were going to explode, you were somewhere else. But on this occasion, I'm afraid through inexperience, I allowed myself to get caught, and a shell exploded under the aircraft, and it lifted the aircraft up. And although I didn't realize what had happened, it had interfered with the flow of petrol to the carburetor, because we had old-fashioned carburation systems, unlike the Germans who had fuel injection. Well, anyway, the long and short of it is it caused power to be cut from both engines, and all I found was that the propellers were windmilling around without any power, and that's not a happy situation, at which point my navigator, Doug, leaned across to me and said, what do we do now? Well, there was only one thing we could do. I said, we wait. So I put it into a glide, and after seemed an interminable period of time, the power came on again, and I angled the aircraft away from Berlin. I leaned across to Doug at this point and said, you weren't frightened, were you, Doug? And he said, no, I wasn't frightened. I was bloody terrified. And that was formed the title of the book that his son subsequently wrote a few years back. and I think it encapsulated it rather well. I have one thing in common. It's probably the only thing in common with Sir Winston Churchill. We're both capable of closing our eyes and dropping off to sleep at the drop of a hat. And it was no exception for me when I was flying over Germany. And when I pulled away from the target, in the knowledge that no propeller-driven aircraft could catch up with me, I used to level the plane off at 25,000 feet. And in those clear conditions, if you trimmed up the aircraft, it would almost fly itself. And then I'd say to Doug, now I've set it on course, I'm going to have a little nap, because I used to take a little pillow with me. And that's why Doug said he could fly the plane as well as I could, you see. And I put my head down and I said, give me a nudge if it goes off course, and I'll sort of level and set it all up again. And I said, if we get back to Down and Market, give me a real nudge and I'll land the bloody thing. I used to have frequent naps, and they were sort of cat naps. On one occasion, I was travelling back, and there was a God almighty bang under my starboard wing. And Doug, another of his silly questions, he said, what was that? And I said, well, it was a shell, wasn't it? And we checked over everything, and there was no damage done, but it sort of rocked us about a bit. And when we got back and I was being debriefed, I said to the debriefing officer, we had this odd experience coming back. A shell came out from nowhere, as it seemed. And he laughed. Well, it was all right for him. I mean, he never travelled out over Germany, did he? He used to stay at home all the time. And he laughed and he said, where did this happen? And Doug pointed to the chart, and this guy laughed again and said, oh, you flew over a German anti-aircraft training school. He said, you might not know, but most of the trainees were German women, most of them girls around about the age of 17. And he said, do you know they're only allowed one shell a night? He said, you came sailing along and there they were polishing up their sights, and you went stooging right over them, and of course they let off their one shell. And I said, well, it's very accurate shooting. It damn nearly brought us down. We had a device on the back that picked up air-to-air radar. So if a German jet fighter, which was an Me-262, which could do 100 miles an hour faster than we could go, once started painting you, then a white light would appear on my instrument panel. And this white light appeared one night. I was ready for it. I thought it might happen, and I'd already decided what I would do if it happened. And I tipped the aircraft over on one wing, and I dropped down 10,000 feet, like a stone. And Doug, of course, started belly aching like hell. Navigators are always belly aching, but and Doug was no exception. He said, what the hell do you think you're doing? And I said, well, you've seen the white light come on. Oh, he said, I've heard that there's a lot of ghosting that comes on, that in electrical disturbances you could get a white light come on when it's not an enemy fighter at all. And I said, do you want me to hang around and find out? And that quieted him down a bit. And then he went on to say, well, I'm not convinced. He said, I can't see him. And I said, well, you ought to be thank your lucky stars you couldn't see him, because I said, if you could see him, he could see us, and we'd be dead, because the firepower of a Me-262 was such that a single blast would turn you into confetti. I eventually got rid of this guy. I took him down low. Of course, jet aircraft use a lot more fuel down low than they do up high. And I knew he'd only got 45 minutes from the time that he took off to the time he got back to base. So I skedaddled around as low as I could, and eventually this white light didn't reappear. But Doug always left me feeling uneasy. You know, was it really or wasn't it? Until I met Winkle Brown, Captain Winkle Brown, who probably was the most experienced pilot in a Navy pilot, sadly, in World War II. He'd flown everything, and I chatted to him. This was a long time after the war, and he simply said, "You were very lucky to be alive." Well, when I left the RAF at the end of World War II, and because my wife didn't want to be married to a peacetime officer, she said, "I've had enough of being married to a wartime officer, pilot." So I said, "Well, what can I do?" And she said, "Well, go back and complete your training as a chartered valuation surveyor." And I said, "Well, we're going to be very poor because nobody pays anybody very much while they're under a period of training." But once again, she showed her brilliance. She got in touch with the firm that I was working with, and where incidentally she worked before the war. And she got in touch with the manager, who put me in touch with what was then the Inland Revenue Valuation Office. And out of the kindness of their heart, they gave me an appointment as a temporary valuation assistant that enabled me to go through and under the tutelage of one of the valuers, chartered surveyors, to become a chartered surveyor. It was a long, tedious process, and the money we received was, very, very small amount. And particularly as I'd bought a house, and I used to wander around and think, what the hell am I doing? What have I come down to? Because after all, I'd had a fairly responsible position as a flight lieutenant in the Air Force with quite a decent income, and now I was working for an organisation that was paying me a pittance, and it was the most peculiar experience. I always remember I wanted to clip papers together, and the chief clerk in the office said to me, "Well, we don't clip papers together, we pin them together." So he gave me a packet of pins, and after about a fortnight, I went up to him because I ran out of pins, and I said, "Can I have another packet of pins?" And he opened a little book and he looked inside and said, "But I gave you a packet of pins a fortnight ago. You're not entitled to another packet for another week." And I thought, I've joined a madhouse.
My enormous thanks to Colin for recalling his wartime experiences for us. It was very moving to hear of his exploits in his own words. The book Colin refers to is called Bloody Terrified, the true story of a Pathfinder crew in the RAF 608 Squadron during World War II by Ian Redmond, the son of Colin's navigator, Doug. My thanks also to Bob Judson of the Leading for Life podcast, who set up this precious opportunity to talk to Colin. More details of Bob's podcast and Colin's future talk in Palm Springs will be available in the notes.
They will indeed. Man, this guy is so funny. I love the thing about Betty Davis and Joan Crawford, I think.
His recollections of his life back then are really quite remarkable.
And his offhand comment about he was a Navy pilot, sadly.
Yes, Winkle Brown, yes, who I've done a plane tale about.
Yeah.
One of the most
I know
famous
that guy.
test pilots, indeed. A remarkable man, and holds the world record for the number of carrier landings, and will probably the fact that he flew more types onto carriers than anyone else in the world, and that will be a record that is probably never broken because of the number of aircraft that were trying to, or that he flew in those days compared with nowadays. There aren't that many around. But,
Wow.
you know, I just was in awe of Colin by the time we'd finished, and you know, it was just such fun. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, if any of you are listening and are living in the general Palm Springs area, you know, that area of our country, it would be, well, and you had the extra cash, you know, to spend on a $525 ticket, I think it would definitely be money well spent to
yeah, it'll probably be rubber chicken, but I think the speeches will make it worthwhile.
I think so, yeah.
I don't know if there's any tax reduction from
Yeah.
buying a ticket with it. I really have no idea. Jeff, what do you reckon? No?
It depends on if the organization is a licensed or registered 501(c) or 501c3, I think, is the
C3.
Yeah, designation.
C3PO?
C3PO. You know, that's a different. You get like double the bang for your buck on that one, I think.
Excellent. By the way, I was delighted to get that picture of Doug standing in front of an ME-262.
Oh, I love
think
that
he
one
was
too.
in-
Yeah, thank you for reminding me.
He was
thumbs down.
invited over there to go and look at it, and he's sitting there with his thumbs down. You know, yeah,
Beautiful. Wow, what a guy!
Absolutely
What a guy.
brilliant.
Where was this picture?
Well,
taken?
I believe the only flying one is in Germany, but I didn't have the details of each
Yeah.
of them. But that certainly looks like it is a flying version. What a remarkable airplane that was that the Germans built then. Yeah,
Almost
very
looks
good.
like a fish with a face on it on the nose.
It does. Looks remarkably aerodynamic. A very impressive airplane.
Yeah.
After a brief search, the Palm Springs Air Museum is in fact a not-for-profit 501c3. Their tax ID
There you
is
go.
on their website. So
501c3. It is tax deductible. But of course, as they always say, consult your
tax professional.
Tax professional, yeah, tax advisor to make sure that you qualify.
Your mileage.
Oh,
may
and by the
vary.
way, anybody that is a member of the, I hope this is not news to some of you and doesn't upset you, but we are not a 501c3 charitable.
Oh, I got to go call somebody. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Well,
so-
even though we don't make a profit, or is that
No.
just bad management?
Yeah, it's just a whole. It's all paperwork, and it's quite a hassle to.
Not profitable and not for profit are different things.
Exactly.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Exactly. I had a screen printing business that was not profitable, but it was not a not for profit company.
Unintentional.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's just do one or two pieces of feedback and wrap it up then. Liz, what do you think would be the best? Okay. Okay, 4, 6, and 7. Okay. Well, let's quickly get on with a couple of feedback items, and the way we start that is by pushing this button.
Captain, incoming message.
This one from Ernie, and the title of his feedback is JetBlue versus 787 wake turbulence. He says, I believe you'll find that wake turbulence increases with angle of attack and aircraft weight. At cruise, the angle is smaller as well as the generated wake. On approach, the aircraft is slowed. The required angle of attack increases, as does the generated wing vortices / wake. Spacing in trail is used to delay the trailing aircraft long enough for the wake to descend below the intended path. And I believe, this is Jeff speaking, it's like 500 feet per minute is like the standard descent rate of a sink rate of a piece of wake turbulence.
Yep,
approximately
something like that.
Yeah. Without the we should ask our brandly new minted commercial pilot is probably part of the commercial written exam, right? Yeah,
we don't talk about that.
Yeah,
part.
well, yeah, that was the picture that he gave us of the branding. We decided not to show on the too graphic. Anyway, without the ground to help dissipation, one might expect the wake to last longer and descend further over time. In this case, the 320 may not have been under the opposing aircraft's path long enough for the wake to reach it, and the 787 may have been flying fast enough, 210 knots, to lessen the wake. I've read of a light aircraft on an intersecting path with similar separation that ended up with a wrinkled wing. The A320 wasn't at risk of that, but keeping passengers comfortable when possible seems part of the job. In any event, the 320 crew simply asked for a 5-degree turn to avoid it. It was the controller that chose to make the pilot explain why he wanted a small deviation at a time when the request would become... explain why he wanted a small deviation at a time when the request would become moot unless granted quickly. The pilot had already provided everything the controller needed. The controller wanted to argue the need. A small turn would have been more expedient than a 1,000-foot descent, and it's hard to imagine it would have appreciably burdened the controller's efforts to sequence the aircraft, or sequence aircraft out there. Thanks for the effort you guys put in, but let's see. Thanks for the effort you folks put, you people, but into the... Okay. Help me with that, Liz. I think it's...
Thanks for the effort you folks put, you people, into the podcast.
Not any clearer.
Yes, I know.
Okay. I think what he's saying is he appreciates our efforts in creating...
Oh, yeah. I'm sure he
does. Thank you, Ernie. Sorry. Yeah, I agree with you, especially the most important thing I think he's saying here is that, you know, the pilot did provide why he was asking for the 5-degree, you know, vector to avoid the wake turbulence, and the controller decided to kind of argue the whole thing, and then by the time he finished talking, it was probably a moot point. So, yeah.
I'm just going to defer to the controller's experience here, because I'm trying to imagine how many thousands of aircraft he has vectored onto that approach path, and he's probably in a significant number of cases put one on top of the other with the approved air traffic separation. So if it was a major problem, I think he would know about it and he wouldn't have done that. Having said that, he did offer to let the guy descend further to give him more clearance, and he refused that. So I'm going... The controller relies on the angles at which the aircraft arrive onto finals to give them the separation down final. And even though 5 degrees may not be a lot, it might be, you might mess up his planning for the distance that these guys were going to be once they're all lined up. So I'm going to come out on the side of the air traffic controller, in addition to the fact that when you are in the cruise, particularly at the early part of your flight, you're considerably heavier. In the case of my A340, I might be 100 tons heavier when after takeoff, initially in the cruise, than I would be during the approach. And that has a significant effect on the amount of wake turbulence when you're at your lightest.
I agree with all of that. Although the only thing I'll say is that in hindsight, maybe the controller could have, even though he was probably right and he was doing everything he should have been doing with regard to the possibility of a wake turbulence encounter, if he had just said, okay, 5 degrees right, approved. You know, like, how much would that have really, you know, been messed up things for his sequencing and everything else. And it may have been just easier just to say, okay, fine, and not, I'm sure he had the pride of saying like, oh, you're questioning what I'm doing here. And let me explain why this is okay, what I'm doing. And if you want, I can descend you 1,000 feet. It may have, again, as I said, it might have been a little bit of a, what, you don't think I know what I'm doing here as a controller? But
I'm sure there was an element of that, yes.
Yeah. But if he just said, yeah, sure. If that's what you want, sure. 5 degrees right. Like whatever.
And I don't
and
know
honestly,
if I would have even asked.
I was just going to make that point, AJ. I would have, if I was that concerned about it as the pilot of the JetBlue 320, I would have just kind of made my own little course correction.
An error within limits.
I don't think they would have noticed.
No.
Very clever, Liz. Liz is trying to be a comedian.
Oh dear, not again.
Well,
wait a minute.
I will say.
Say it again,
I've
Liz.
flown through awake.
Wait, hang on. Liz, say that again. Your pithy comment.
Very good.
Good one, Liz. Yeah. Oh, you were going to say you were adding something, AJ? I'm sorry.
I was just going to say I've flown through a larger airplane's wake, albeit I was not obviously in a 320, but I never wrinkled a wing, but it was, you noticed, it was an event.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, like I said, I would go back to I wouldn't have asked for the 5 degrees. I would have just ished it
just done
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then finally, we're going to end the show with this. 2 more? Oh, I did one of my things where I was already on one, and then in my mind I had already covered it, and I have not. Okay, so the last 2 that we're going to quickly talk about or cover are related to the wonderful last installment of the 3-part interview with Colin. This is from Jeff Hebert. I was listening to episodes 643, 644, and was thoroughly impressed with Nick's interview of Flight Lieutenant Colin Bell. Flight Lieutenant Colin Bell. I know that there are more of that interview coming up, but you mentioned that Mr. Bell was scheduled to fly to America in the months to come, and that really spiked my interest. Okay, we've gotten this a while back. Being a captain on A330s based in Montreal, I do get to fly the Heathrow route. In fact, I'm currently laying over in London and have another stay on December 31st. Okay, this is the past, of course. Now I was thinking, what if I had the chance of having Flight Lieutenant Bell on one of my flights? I'm a bit too enthusiastic, thinking he might choose a foreign airline to fly across the pond, but if he does elect to fly on an aircraft with a maple leaf flag on it, and you know about it, I would love to know the date he's planning to fly. I would bid for that flight and hope to have the privilege of having this amazing person aboard my ship. Anyhow, I know it's a super long shot, but I would be remiss not to try. Okay, and just as an aside here, getting away from this feedback from Jeff, not me, another Jeff, I wouldn't think that you'd be going through anywhere in Canada to get to Palm Springs. I could be wrong, though. Maybe there's a chance. I don't know. We don't know anything about his flight itinerary, though, do we, Captain Nick?
No. All I know is that the museum are paying to fly him out there. So,
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure he will go direct to probably LA, and then in a limo or something up to Palm Springs.
Possibly, yes. Anyway, getting back to Jeff's feedback, great show. Love hearing you bunch as I drive between my flights and my home in Quebec City. Funny you should mention Bois Gomin Airport in the previous episode. Is that right? Did I say that right? Bois Gomin?
I don't know. You'll have to ask Mr. Gomin.
Well, he's always coming and gumming and going. Sorry, that was worse than Liz's joke.
Terrible.
Almost there.
Thank you. Tough crowd. As I live near the plains of Abraham, where the city's first airport used to be, Charles Lindbergh landed there on April 24th, 1928, bringing medication for a dear aviator friend, Floyd Bennett. And he says, see a attached web page for the entire or full story, and we'll have that in our show notes. Thanks a lot for all you do to entertain and educate us. Keep up and keep me posted about Colin Bell's flight itinerary. If you are privy to this information and allowed to let me know, I'll bid accordingly. Cheers, Jeff Aber. And as we said, we're not privy to that information, Jeff. And if we were, we would send you a private email letting you know all the details. But as we said, we probably think that he'll be flying an American registered carrier over to LA or something like that. But he will also have that article that he referenced in the show notes. And last but not least, from John Johnson. He says, hi, Captain Jeff, Captain Nick, Liz, and the whole APG crew. I've been listening for some time, but Captain Nick's plain tales of the interview with Lieutenant Colin Bell sent me over the Patreon edge. I'm happy to be a supporter of the great podcast. Yay.
Brilliant. Thanks, John.
Yep. So thank you for that. And he said, I love the first installment of the interview with Lieutenant Bell, and totally by chance happened on this YouTube short of a female World War II veteran who apparently flew the Spitfire in some capacity, and thought Captain Nick and especially Lieutenant Bell would enjoy seeing it. Now, unfortunately, I tried to download this video, or actually even get to it and watch it, but I got this message that says this video is private, and nothing I could do could. Were you able to watch it, Liz? Well, try it now. See if you can. Oh, okay. Because
in the meantime, I was just going to say that I suspect the only lady pilots who would get near a Spitfire were the ATA, the Air Transport Auxiliary pilots, who took brand new aircraft or aircraft had been repaired from the factories out to the squadrons. So they just did the transporting of these aircraft and weren't allowed to take part in real operations. But it was a dangerous job anyway because of the weather and the limited training they had, and some great stories from these fantastic ladies. Now, there was an equivalent ladies force of pilots in the United States. I think they were the Wasps, is that right?
Yes,
yeah,
that is correct.
Who have equally exciting stories. But one of the most remarkable, I think, I've seen is a photograph of a diminutive young lady standing beside the enormous tire of a Sterling 4-engined heavy bomber just after landing it. When she, I think she might have had a co-pilot. That was about it. And these two ladies flew this huge bomber out to a base. And when they climbed out, all the ground crew was standing around waiting for the real pilots to come out. And she got a picture of herself standing beside this huge bomber. And it was, just makes you think what a fantastic and how brave the job these girls did, and how brave they were.
Very good. Yeah, Liz confirmed that the video now, even though it wasn't at the time that this was sent from John, wasn't private, but now it is. So, John, if you're listening and you have another link that you could supply that perhaps is not designated as a private video, would you send that to us, and then we can play it, or at least talk about it. So, yeah.
I must point out that one of the plain tales I did about Amy Johnson, she perished doing one of these delivery flights when she crashed into the Thames during very bad weather. and a tragic end to a young lady with a remarkable flying career.
All right. So it is now time for us to wrap up the show. And the first thing we normally do is point you over toward our website, airlinepilotguy.com. Again, you know the routine. Lots of stuff, most of it accurate, about the crew and the community, and 50% at least. You know, that's what we shoot for here. And lots of good stuff over there. So check it out, airlinepilotguy.com. Our 50% guarantee is included with any purchase. And I'm not sure why I said purchase. I guess there are things to purchase there. We have a merchandise link, and I don't even know it's there anymore. Anyway, we're also on social media. And Captain Nick, would you like to do the honors?
Oh, I'd love to. On Facebook, or Faceplant, as we all like to say, you can find us facebook.com/airline pilot guy, and Jeff knows the proper name for a /
I did. I've forgotten already. Yeah, something cool.
Hercule Poirot.
That's it.
That's it.
That's Belgian.
On X. On X, we're at APG Crew. On the Instas, where you'll just find copies of all the artwork, instagram.com/APG Crew. And of course, YouTube, where you can find this fantastic How We Made It video, youtube.com/airlinepilotguy/streams, which is something that becomes very important to you when you're gentlemen of our age.
Easy now. I'm not quite there.
And I'm okay so far. But if you're squeamish at all, I would I'd really think twice about watching the video of us. But we also are. Yeah, speaking of streams, it sounds like Hillel doesn't have any problem with streams. Hillel, can you tell us about Slack?
Okay, but I'm dripping wet.
All right. Come
well,
on
as
over
long
here.
as you're dripping, that's all right.
He's dripping wet, so I don't know what to say about that. All right, let's hear what he has to say about Slack.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas, we suggest episode and plain tales topics, we plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo @airlinepilotguy.com, or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thanks a lot, Hillel. Put the graphic back up, Liz. I just wanted to. I've never noticed this before, but look at the tan lines on his foot from his sandals.
From flip-flops.
Or flip-flops or sandals or whatever you want to call it. It's been a while since we've actually done some analysis of Hillel outside of the shower, and what did we call that? The loofah burrito that he's holding in his right hand.
Yeah, most certainly.
Yeah.
And then he's got some sugar cubes in his hand. What are those?
I think those are like small little items that you have in a shower, like shampoo and conditioner.
Hotel toiletries.
Hotel toiletries, yes. Perfect.
And then housekeeping need to sort out that foot mat.
Yeah, they need to wash that shower mat. It's
a bit disgusting.
Dingy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do like the robe though with the captain stripes on it. So I guess we need to call him Captain Hillel.
I think we should. Yes.
I thought that was yours.
Oh yeah, could be. Hey, what do you do with my epaulets? Damn it. Okay. One more thing to talk to Hillel about.
Getting all wet.
Okay. And so thanks a lot, Hillel, for creating and managing the Slack group. And also we'd like to say a big thanks and round of applause for
Liz
Piper,
thank you,
our
Liz.
producer.
Good job.
Yeah, you.
Good job with the plain tail. I know it's
Thanks,
hard.
Nick.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Nice
very
nice
stressful,
job.
but got her done.
Yeah, perfect. All right, and finally, thanks again for joining us, Alpha Juliet. We know him as AJ, and I appreciate your coming on. Oh, you know what? You didn't mention, and I forgot to mention as well, is that yesterday was a big day for you. It was an anniversary of something.
Oh,
golly,
yes, yeah.
Anniversary of the day that you came out of your mother. Yeah.
Yeah, my aunt
turned
sent
30
my mother
at last.
hey, my class 1 medical still lasts for 1 year. That's all I'll say.
So
yeah,
at what
fair
year?
enough.
What age is it then that only lasts for half? 40?
Yeah, it clicks at 40.
Interesting. Oh, I just gave it away. Sorry.
It's the most important birthday since December 26th.
There you go.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So happy birthday, day late.
My aunt sent my mother a text message that said Happy Labor Day.
All right. So with that, I guess it's time for us to watch this pickup truck go by. On this
Listen to it anyway.
The exciting life of an RVer.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be worse.
Is it
worse.
is it RVer or RVist?
RVer
the appropriate
is
term.
what I've been reading and hearing all these years of following the RV world. Anyway,
So, road vesseler.
road vesseler,
Rover.
road vessel studier, whatever.
Let's
A
go.
guy-
Wrap it up, boys.
We're done here.
A guy in a van down by the river. That's what I am.
Love it.
Anyway, so we're going to wrap it up as our producer is demanding and say, wishing you all clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Take care and God bless.
Bye-bye, everybody.
See ya.
See you next time.
And there's a
What's
big
two
old fly.
seers? Come on, you guys got to get yourself sorted out.
Flying,
Well, I had
flying around
different
here. A fly
inflection.
made it through my skylight. Hang on.
What are you doing?
He's going to kill a fly. There's fly
Oh,
flying
I
around.
thought he was going to swat a satellite or something.
I don't know. Let's hope he
Mind
doesn't.
that Starlink.
Yeah, but you knock his Starlink antenna down.
Yeah.
Well, my Starlink is coming out through the skylight, and I do have a screen that I can draw. But I
That's a
didn't do
bit
that.
hard to watch if you have a screen up there.
Might put
It's
it a
not
little
that
more
kind
eye
of
level.
screen. It's like the metal holes in it thing. What's
Turn
that
off your
metal?
recorder, Jeff.
Oh, a sieve. Okay.
The
Yeah.
other thing about those screens is if you poke a big hole in it to put your Starlink outside, it doesn't work very well.
No,
very
it doesn't.
true.
You're right. Well, I did not do that. Luckily, it slides, retracts.
Okay, so let's talk about possible titles. I have a few, but not too
Go
many.
on then.
Oh, you got one. Have
I
you
got a
one?
bunch. No. You go ahead.
Well,
Liz.
watch that first step, which you had.
First step is a doozy. Yep.
Yeah. Double deviation. We were talking about.
Oh. I've heard of double penetration. I haven't heard
right.
of double
Double
deviation.
deviation.
That escalated quickly.
In the weed. In the weed. Not in the
Yeah,
weed.
got that
in
one.
the weeds. Okay. I love this one. This was about when we were talking about the event at Atlanta today and people getting off in their flip-flops in the snow. And this was from Cesar Padilla, who was in the chat room. Dress to egress. So
Ooh.
that was a good one, I thought. And I think that's all I got. Anybody
Okay,
else?
I got put that in your piper and smoke it. Off field, inner field.
Oh, that's
at
good.
The end of the grass.
Love it. These are good.
And I was trying to think of something poignant to do about Colin Bell since that was his last installment, but I'm not sure. I don't think so. But
Thank you,
anyway,
Colin.
I've got
Thank you,
plenty
Colin.
to work from.
Just
Surprise,
thank you,
the
Colin, would be
phrase.
great.
It would,
Oh,
wouldn't it?
Caesar's got another one. Off the field, in a field. Off field,
Surprised
in
the
a
phrase
field, in a
"still
field.
sputtering" didn't make it into there somewhere.
Yeah. I think I've got that one. Off field, in a field.
Okay.
Yes, I have got that one.
Okay, I think you can. I'm sure you'll make something good of something there. So,
Oh, I've got to be motivated. Motivate me, people, please.
well, you're getting a triple of your salary. So come on, get
A
with
triple
it.
What else do you need? you're just getting greedy at this point.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, it's 88 degrees inside this RV.
Oh, please give me a break.
Oh, you're in.
It is.
You're in Miami. I should hope so.
You're going to have your air conditioning on.
I am.
You are.
I'm happy that I have an electrical connection now because
Yeah,
it's
no
burning
kidding.
up in here.
Yeah.
You're a hot, steamy man, Jeff.
Exactly.
I am. That's for sure.
iHall Boxes approves of the title suggestions. Approved.
Oh,
Thank you.
There we
Thank
go.
you, Mr. Boxes.
There we go.
Thank you. That
Excellent.
makes us all feel better. Thank you.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us on a Friday.
Brilliant, as always.
Have a
Thank
great
you very much.
weekend.
And the nude virgins to the chat room. Well done.
Yeah, welcome everyone, one and all, especially you newbies.
We
to
love
our
seeing
live
you.
Audience.
Love seeing you.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you next time, everybody.
I was going to see if I
Adios.
can. Wait, before you sign off, Liz. hang
Okay,
on.
yes, sir.
I need to see if I can show you my
Your dirty
coffee.
dishes?
See, look at that.
Your
88.
toilet
I don't know
roll.
if you can see.
Big
Oh,
toilet roll.
Okay.
Hang
Your
on.
temperature. Yeah, okay. This is how you flew a mad dog.
Yeah.
Hey, you know the control software we have for these
I can
things.
read it. 88. Yeah, there it is.
See?
Wow.
88 Sunset.
And that's what I flew
Strip.
that airplane too, the 88.
Well, there you
It
go.
wasn't this
there
hot.
you go. Did
What's
you
the-
fly the 38?
I did fly the 38.
Is that the
How
humidity?
about that? That's humidity, yeah. So it's
Wow,
actually
what,
quite dry.
What part of
down
Florida are you in?
Here. I'm in the Everglades.
With 38% humidity? I don't believe
I
it.
know.
Yeah.
That's crazy, isn't it? But that's the weather system that we're in right
And
now.
you've got
Here's
some
one quick
extra
last-
virgin there.
Here's one quick last title. Sputtering in the weed. Sputtering in the weed.
Sputtering in the weed. Yeah, we got lots of weed. I think weed is probably going to win this.
I think so.
I don't know how I do a picture of sputtering, though.
Yeah, I know.
Any assistance in that would be greatly
No.
appreciated.
I don't know. Anyway, thanks everybody. We'll see you next time. Who knows where Jeff will be?
Be here in the
Tune in.
He'll be right there.
Yeah, I don't know where.
Exactly right there.
Don't know where this will
Tune
be,
in to
but
find out where he is. Yeah.
that's
Oh,
right.
yeah, that'd be exciting.
Where in the world is
iHall Boxes.
Captain Jeff.
where
Oh,
is that?
All right.
Yeah. Look at this. Sorry. 38 is the number of alligators around your RV.
Hope not.
I hope not. Okay. Bye, everybody. See you next
good.
time.
Cheers, folks.
Bye.
Bye.